Hello, friends and enemies. Glad you are here. Today I'm joined by both Dain Bornhald of the Whitecloaks, or our Whitecloaks, or all the above, I suppose, and our favorite Prophet of the Dragon, also known as Steve.
Steve, yes. The ominous name prophet named Steve. Yes, that's me. Threatening.
Terra,
The
absolutely
Shinar
terrifying.
and crazy person named Steve.
Yes, there you go.
That works too.
That's pretty close, I think.
They're more related together than you know. So, this whole concept for this video was brought upon seeing some potential locations and stuff that they're going to use for season 2 of Wheel of Time, and I thought it'd be fun to kind of take a gander at some articles and some other content that would, I guess, theorize or speculate, probably the better term, of where they're going to, or what scenes that are allegedly going to be used for season 2, or they've been spotted recording and whatnot, and then putting that to where that we think possibly season 2 is going to try to run across the map, but that's going to be more based off of where they would be going in the books if they were following the books, which they're not. But at least that would give them some general idea of like, yeah, they're going to be just going all over the place, because the way they make it sounds like they're going to go to Falm, but I don't know why, because nothing else makes sense. So we'll get there.
Who knows if they're even going there? Like, who knows?
Well, that's the thing is there a lot of the scenes, like when you and I did the video of the 32-second whatever teaser or whatever,
Yeah. Yeah.
that had like so much desert. I'm like, guys, there's not that much desert on this cotton.
It makes me wonder if they're just skipping Falm. Is it Falm? You know, I can't pronounce
Falma.
anything.
Falma, yeah.
Falma? Is it Falma? Falme? You know,
Falma.
you know me. But
Falme.
Flambe. Yeah, that's
Flamboyant. That's what it's called.
Yeah, we've killed everything with our giant wave.
I just love how they're like I put desert next to like snow territory up in the borderlands.
It just makes me wonder if they're going. I mean, if they're doing the waste thing, especially with Avienda being in it. I mean,
the waste though could make sense because all those pictures of the rocks and the kind of like wasteland type thing looks like it could be the waste.
Well,
it looks a little too rocky, what I would assume. But
location could be the waste. In season 2,
I don't think Avienda will be there though.
Is a waste because it shouldn't be there. Haha. We shouldn't be in the waste. So
this whole season's a waste. What are you talking about?
Honestly, from just how they set up Faldara and Shinar looking like it's the middle of a desert, don't be surprised if the Aiel waste is actually lush, wet jungle.
It's got this massive river down the middle of it.
Yes,
exactly. They decide to go film in like Mississippi or something like that with a giant river down.
Roydians
don't put it past them. Yeah.
No. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Sorry, I've derailed this a little bit. I think.
I don't know if you could derail this more than they've already derailed the story. So anyway, let me go ahead.
Back here already, so we could get some rage out in this.
Hey, at least that proves you have something there to begin with. So hey, it works.
Yet to be seen, my friend.
To be seen. Well, let's start with this article from WoT series. I'm gonna pull it up. I'm still learning.
The gift that keeps on giving. That site's actually pretty good for some information, I gotta say. So
let's see. Share screen.
That's where I've been getting all my audition stuff from. My lovely acting. Right?
There we are.
Incredible voice work for those who are not familiar.
Yeah, if there's an animated series, hello.
You're our Avienda.
Definitely the Avienda. I guess who gets to be Land though, because we got to have some nipple tweaking and everything.
Oh
no, you do it. You do an animated series, you're gonna cut the nipple tweaking just a little bit, I think.
Oh, I'll just be like a little bit. I'll be like Hank
Azaria. So instead of making it like a full solid minute, we'll make it like 59 seconds.
No, you'll have to. You'll do a close up of it, and then glass and stuff. You'll have to cut away for glass shattering and stuff, and people.
I don't know. I feel like if they did a close up of it, it might cut the camera screen, the glass on the camera.
Well, yeah. So you got the new order nipple twist technique.
I mean, it would definitely be a new sword form, because like nipple cutting glass would be a new weapon that Lan has. He doesn't even need a sword. He'll just like cut you in half.
The opposing warder just stops in his track in horror and dies.
Especially like stepping with his little short, stubby double axes. Like, what the heck was that?
The kingfisher on the pond has no match for the nipple cuts the glass.
It's classic.
Oh my
That's how it's going to go. Anyways,
and
we're getting
Archer,
sidetracked already.
Our Archer
I know, right?
warder, right? Yeah. Oh my
I feel
God.
like that's what we specialize in because I honestly, the best content is usually the sidetrack stuff. Let's be honest. So, this WoT series articles about season 2 filming locations, Italy, and more. I'm not gonna read every word for word and everything, but essentially the series has been heavily under wraps, and a couple locations kind of got leaked or spoiled or whatever. I'm not even gonna begin to try to like pronounce this first one because I got no idea, but it translates to Star Villa. It's Summer Palace or whatever, and it's a Renaissance kind of villa, and I'm not sure where it's actually located. I'm guessing Eastern Europe.
Probably in the Czech Republic.
I would say that's probably inaccurate. Go ahead, Stephen.
No. I just because is that what the picture was up there too, or is that just? Do you think that's the villa?
That's
or do you think it's
it could be one of them. This is like a lot of them in one go.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
couldn't tell you off the top of my head. I don't have that good of a memory on the images I saw.
The picture is the Star Palace.
That's the Star Palace?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, there's that, which I don't really know how you'd really use that for anything in particular in the story because it's kind of small for
I'm
all
trying
the
to
big places they go.
That was my thought. It was just sort of like, what is that? Like, because stupid me, I'm in the middle of listening to The Great Hunt again, just to sort of prep for the debacle that will be season 2, and I'm just sort of thinking to myself, it's like, okay, that's not the White Tower, it's not a portal stone, and it's not. Okay, well, I don't know what that place is going to be then.
Well, there are a couple things that come to mind, but this all hinges upon how close to the books they're going to be. But just from the shot that you have there on the screen from the article, I would suggest that it might be like Lord Barthane's hunting manor, right? Somewhere outside of Kyrian.
I've always expected him to have that like a lot bigger though.
Well,
like, I mean, camera tricks can fix that too, and you don't know if there's stables or something behind there. It's not a real good shot of how much.
The other thing that it could be, although it would be a little bit weird, would be like the Illuminator chapter house.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, it looks about the size of the Illuminator chapter house.
You know what? That could work though. Like that. Like if that's what it is,
it kind of makes sense.
I think either way, if they did either of those, it would work.
I gotta say though, this one window here being off kilter is really driving me insane.
True enough.
So this side's got 3 and this got 2, and I'm just like, what are you guys doing? Anyway, sorry, go ahead.
Crappy Eastern European architects. What the hell?
I know, right?
They did
what did you guys do that for?
I
know, right?
I'd qualify that though. I don't think they're going to do anything with the Illuminators.
I doubt it. It's such a small arc.
It isn't. It isn't. You got to wait until the later books for it to really pay off with the whole gunpowder thing and Matt. But I mean, they had Tam using matches in the first episode. So,
do you think that they'll move the chapter house out of Kyrian to somewhere else?
I think it's going to be cut
because I don't think they even like remotely mentioned Kyrian. Although some of the location sites that I saw the images of looked like the Foregate outside of Kyrian, but they went like the hardcore Asian look on the city walls and stuff. So I don't know if that's supposed to be Kyrian because I don't remember Kyrian having Asian aesthetics.
So they're gonna do a whole bunch of recombination, abridging. Like there are theories that they're gonna merge Tyr and Kalendor with Falma and just run those stories together. They might be doing something like either Camelin or Kyrian and put those together.
The stone will be invaded by by the Chandra? Is that what they're going to
go? Something like that, because when people are yakking about the show or theorizing, they're like, "What? Why would we have Rand fight Ishmael twice?" Right?
Because
he does.
Because he does. But if you're trying to compress 2 books into one season, you'd have.
I haven't fought him once yet, so
the second fight sort of announces him to the freaking world. That's why it's important.
Yeah, I know. But
I know you know.
Here's another insight, brilliant insight of mine, because it's before noon and I haven't started drinking yet.
That's when we got to catch
remember every single, or nearly every single episode in season 1 began with a cold open, right? And some of them were fairly kind of almost like side chapters. Like you had the one in Paradisen back in the Age of Legends. You had the Blood Snow or the Placenta Snow. You had the cold open down in Tyr, Little Girl Swan. And a couple of, and we know that they're going to cast Cho Chang as Yas Queen or Yasica, who's a brown scholar from before the Trolloc Wars kind of thing. That's going to be for a cold open, guaranteed, and guaranteed she's going to get 7 or 8 minutes of it. So maybe some of these filming locations that we can't identify are going to be precisely used in some random self-generated cold open involving characters no one's ever heard of, and that's the big.
And also, it could be from like the Age of Legends stuff, because a lot of the stuff looks very modern comparative to what Wheel of Time setting is. So that would actually make sense to have a very modern, like a modern building used for a quote unquote modern time, because the Age of Legends is supposed to be like very, not necessarily futuristic, but closer to futuristic than not.
Well, I'm still waiting for my show wing and my Joe car.
Yeah, I mean, everything you said makes sense. It's one of those.
I guess either you're pronouncing things I don't know, or you're saying literal words I don't know. I don't know which one it is.
Show wings and Joe cars. Go read your chapters 26 and 27. I think of Shadow Rising again.
Oh my god, dude, Dain, you're killing me.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. While since I read Shadow Rising,
I don't know how you people do this with just pulling this crap out. My brain is so tiny.
I'm thinking, like, is he saying Jakars is like a joke? Because that would be make sense, I suppose. But
it's the futuristic vehicles in the Age of Legends that are mentioned in.
You mean their light sticks and stuff?
Among that, yeah, shock lances, light sticks. Anyways,
shock lances.
Every time I said shock lances, I just kept thinking giant tasers.
I mean, it's just. Man, it gets the blood boiling, because you're probably right about some of this stuff, but I don't know how you could think of even merging Caemlyn and Carhian and it being okay. I mean,
well, that's the funny thing is like Caemlyn and Kyrian are literally totally different cultures. They're the way their dress of their nobility and their common folk, and the way they.
Well, I was looking for
the appearance of everything is just totally different. Even
I was looking forward to them butchering an attempt at doing Deus de Mar, since they're not smart enough to pull off any of the intricacies.
There's no way they're going to be able to pull that off.
They're going to try it in some way, and it's going to be laughable.
Well, the thing is if they cut out Kyrian from the series, then how would that even make sense? Or are they just going to make Deus de Mar all nobility everywhere? Which to some extent is true, but it's a totally different style of game in Kyrian. Like in Kyrian, it's totally unique.
Let's remember that the Kyrianen are the most obsessed with Deus de Mar. Elaine is one of the better players of it, but what everyone always says is the true inventors and the true masters are the Aes Sedai. Except we do not see that in the show at all, in that the political maneuverings of the Aes Sedai in the show.
Cringe. It was so bad.
They make the Tyrants look like Kyrianen.
And then that's the other thing you brought up was the Tyr and Falme, Flamey, Filet Mignon being combined into Tyrme or something like that. You know, wouldn't that have to geologically change the whole world too to make that happen?
Well, not really, because I don't think they've even showed us a map. So if they don't show you a map, the viewers don't know where anything is unless you're familiar with the series.
I guess I'm talking silly me talking about the real map, not the made up map. There
silly you. Tricks are for kids.
Yeah, exactly. Dumb.
But yeah, so like this one particular place, I would assume would make most sense. Like, yeah, it could be a hunting manor, but I feel like Barthanes Manor would be much, much bigger if they were doing that arc. I don't think they are, because as far as we know, Rand's not going to be anywhere around to join for the hunt for the horn with Ingtar and stuff. But allegedly, they have Ingtar already. Was Ingtar in the first season? I don't even remember if he was.
He wasn't.
Yeah.
Was he with Uno at like where they were getting the?
I looked back. I think
I think
thought
one of
he
them was cast as Ingtar, but they might have given him a different name. So who knows?
Yeah.
Well,
mean,
I have a casting name like who's supposed to play him, but I was trying to think of like if he was in that because they had so many Shinarans that didn't even look like Shinarans,
it's so
and I was
hard
like,
to
who's
tell.
who? Because there's no
'cause it's
special
like-
differences.
So because
I-
the last episode played and they were all there, and then they did this big casting announcement thing for Uno and the other and for me and
Oh,
for
nice.
and for Ingtar, and I'm like, well, wasn't Ingtar already in it? So I went back and I'm pretty sure it wasn't Ingtar, it was just somebody else because I remember going to look.
Lord Yakota or something like that. They
But it's
probably
like
named
because like I said, I'm now about halfway, a little under halfway through the Great Hunt. Just obviously refreshing my memory. What are they going to even be doing from the Great Hunt if Rand isn't hunting the horn? Because that's half of the Great Hunt.
So there was
he's
half of it is
become a
him
magical
trying
blade
to retrieve
master.
it.
There was a leaked season synopsis a while back. I think I shared it with you guys, or it was in the Discord. But I think it starts off with Rand kind of in hiding in the cosmopolitan city of Falma. So they're just going to have him there to start. So he's not even going to go on a hunt.
Yeah, it's just hiding, right? Yeah.
Or something.
Yeah.
Hanging out, trying to get by and not hurt anyone. So he goes to a populated center.
Isn't it like discovering his darker side or some BS or fighting with his darker side or
thank goodness he's not going on a hunt, because if they followed the books, then he'd have to get Shinar coats. And as we all know from the way they did that costuming in the show, they're gonna have Rand al'Thor going around dressed like a peacock with feathers everywhere. So I'm grateful for that.
Well, that's the other thing that was like the images I saw were talking about potentially like this could be Falma. I'm like, I don't know if Falma ever is announced to have walls because it's not like a massive city. It's like a town. And
I don't think
every time they enter
enough.
in,
it's just not part of a country, right? It's on Toman
yeah,
Head, and it's part of
on
Almouth Plain.
Toman Heads.
Maybe there was a nation of Almouth in the past, but it's you've got the Terrabonners and the Domani bickering over it for years and years and years. But
and
yeah,
the Whitecloaks had their eyes on it too, so it makes sense in that regard. But it's one of those things where it doesn't make sense because it's like I don't remember because I mean recently I went through the Great Hunt as well, and I was like, nothing here states there's walls. There's no gate or anything because how does Rand and company grab the horn and the dagger and get out of the place if they have to go through a gate that's guarded? They wouldn't be able to get through. So yeah, but it's like it makes more sense that there would be no walls per se, but it would be like a wall of houses or something with like gaps in between them that you could slide like through an alley.
All things considered, in the amount these people are willing to change about a show, I don't think they're going to give a shit about whether a city has a wall or not in the actual description. But
yeah, it looks
I don't
cool.
think they care about it.
Anyway, the only things that I can think of for this first kind of Star Palace image, other than maybe they're not using the exterior. That's the other thing we probably have to wonder.
That's true.
Are they using this as an interior shot, or it looks like it's part of a park? So maybe it was a convenient location close to their central area in the Czech Republic, and they just wanted to do some park filming here. Maybe they don't use this building at all.
The Renaissance villa concept is about the time frame roughly that this was all supposed to take place in the book. So the time frame wouldn't look too far off per se.
They got a discount. If you film him this one spot, you can film in this spot too. And they're just like, all right, we'll make
probably. But apparently they had drone filming at this one, so there's gonna be some outside shots, I'd imagine. But they said something about not knowing if it occurs inside or on surrounding grounds. Serbesco, I'm assuming that's how you say that, is the quarry that we saw used. I'm pretty sure that's the one they used for Leandrin's chasing of the male channeler at the beginning of episode 1.
Oh, so we're getting more of that. Fantastic.
Apparently, so they're saying that they had prior speculation that it might have been used for the area around Faldara, the Blight. And I'm like, one's a desert. This one has trees and green with rocks and stones. So I'm not really sure how you do that. And the Blight was just a whole bunch of trees. So I'm not sure where they got that.
One thing from going through the rewatch that we're doing on the Whitecloaks YouTube is they love these rock walls. Like almost there's so much stuff that's actually filmed either in quarry sites or whatnot. Like all of Breen
Yeah.
Spring was set with that was set as like a mining town, so they probably filmed that in a quarry. They set the
That would make
all
sense.
of Emmons Field are two rivers. They built into a quarry for some reason right next to a river. It makes no
Which
sense.
didn't make any
either.
sense because they were completely surrounded by trees in that shot, and it was like the
Yeah.
trees are on the other side of the road to the west. There were
It was
farmland
bad.
behind them.
But just
Oh, well.
all these tracking shots, them riding places, there would be rock outcrops here or there, and I think it's their way of saying, oh, this is a post-breaking world. So the more jagged rock walls that you can show everywhere is kind of that geological hint to a world that was ruined.
It's like, guys,
I
that was
don't know.
3,000 years ago. Chill.
Yeah.
But even then,
But
a breaking just meant like you had tectonic plates shifting, you had continents moving. It doesn't mean that literally everywhere looks like it was ground and
But
mountains.
there
run
might be
through a
other
meat grinder.
reasons why they're doing this and filming it in quarries, and that could also be to do with effects, practical or special. If they want to burn something or blow something up, maybe there's
True.
regulations or rules that you can do it more safe in a quarry because anything that flies out or impacts would actually be protected by that.
So what you're saying it's not a Michael Bay film.
Yeah.
Hey, I watched Amber Lance. He blew up a lot of stuff in that one. Yeah.
Well, then we have Bornhald Studios. It's apparently the largest film studio in the Czech Republic, and apparently one of the largest in Europe, which does kind of make sense because I think they did like Dracula and stuff in the Czech Republic, if I remember correctly.
So is this the Jordan Studios that they just?
No, that's the next one.
Okay,
that's the next one. That'd be the next part of the article. So Jordan Studios is down here. Bornhald is, I guess, in Czech. Jordan, I don't know. It's in Prague or Prague, whatever you call it.
Prague.
I can't say
Like
right.
frog.
Everyone, I keep hearing frog. It's more like a frog if you say that. But yeah, Jordan Studios is in Prague. Bornhald Studios is in Czech Republic. So I would assume they would pull a lot from Bornhald Studios just due to the nature of the first.
Prague is the capital of the Czech Republic.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
I always thought it was somewhere else. Like Spain or something. Anyway, I guess that makes sense. But I guess they also did a lot of filming at this place for Carnival Row, which is an Amazon Prime fantasy series.
Well, they'll probably reuse some of the same sets.
Yeah.
Probably.
So apparently season 2 director Thomas Napper, whatever his name is, was spotted at these studios at the end of May 2021, maybe for pre-production work for season 2. They say he's a director, but he's not given any
Wait, Thomas or Taylor Napier?
Crediting. It says Thomas Napier. Napper.
Oh, I'm getting worried here because I thought that Rafe's boyfriend is going to get upgraded from just being Maxim to an actual director on the show too. So that's Taylor Napier.
Well,
Wouldn't put
maybe
it past
it's
him.
a relative. Could be a relative.
Or he directs under a different name. Who knows?
Pen name. Yeah.
Don't
But yeah,
even,
so
man. Good Lord.
it's possible. I mean, I wouldn't put it past them at this point, but yeah, it could happen. But yeah, now that we have Jordan Studios, it's, I guess, their very own base of operations. And like, I'm assuming they built it for the series because I don't think anybody just had in the Czech Republic just randomly named a studios Jordan Studios.
Yeah,
they did.
Would make
And
much sense.
This is what they say is one of the reasons why this first season was so expensive. So I don't know if they included the capital expenditure for this brand new studio in the overall season budget, but they'll presumably be able to average their cost down as they go forward. But
well, that's the thing is, like, if you build a studio, which I would assume you'd have to at some point for filming, you'd have to build a studio or use somebody else's. And if you build your own, you have more freedoms to do what you want with it than the limitations of somebody else's studio. So you have your own. Mm-hmm. It's like, if you build it now, yeah, it's going to be an upfront cost, but it means that you can use this as many times as you want for however long you want for the rest of the entire series, which means that upfront cost could be split technically throughout the entire season or series.
But it's probably also a motivating factor is to try and do as many seasons as possible rather than admit that this is a sunk cost and bail on it. But yeah, the Jordan Studios or the other one, it's probably all for the interior locations. And it's kind of
I actually mentioned that they think a lot of the indoor stuff will be filmed here probably.
It was probably a lot of White Tower stuff.
You build a shit ton of studio space in the Czech Republic, and then the first thing you do is you fly off to Morocco for your other locations.
Yeah, I know,
And
right?
apparently they're going to Spain and elsewhere. Like I guess one of the
Ironically,
feedback
that's
loops
the
I heard
next
from
part we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they were saying that Jordan Studios, apparently the back lot behind the studio was at least one of the outdoor sets for season 1. Which one I don't know, but I'd imagine it would probably be the one they did for when the Gildanan King and his army comes to save Loghain. That whole wooded area, I feel like that would be very heavy prog based. So
Who knows?
that's
Yeah.
my guess, but who knows? I
The
don't think anybody
carbon-
has a shot of it.
The carbon footprint for this production, flying all over. Good
I
lord.
know, right? But yeah, so they're saying they probably built new outdoor sets for season 2. Jordan Studios and the backlot are private and closed, so you can't really see a whole lot of what's going on there. I don't know how big the backlot is, but I'd assume it has to be moderately big if they're building several different sets. But then we go on to Morocco, where we haven't seen signs of shooting there. I'm like, except for literally them showing you like, hey, here's our wrap up for season 2.
Yeah, I thought Morocco was the rumored place location of Camelin, wasn't that, or is that?
Which would
No,
make literally no sense, but no.
I'd be guessing that they're going to do a lot of the Falme stuff in Morocco.
Yeah.
And that has to do with the and this is also why I think they're going to combine it with the Stone of Tyr, because they're probably going to have the Aiel show up, because Aiel Smart was there. And then the Saleh, the blonde lady who's probably playing Brigitte, she was also seen kind of in a big ponytail and a silver bow. And that's why I think they're going to blow the horn. They're going to have the heroes come back. Brigitte is going to feature prominently in fighting off the Shanshin, but they're going to combine the Stone of Tyr finale with the Falme finale, and they're going to do it all in Morocco.
Dude, watch there's no Arter Hawkwing.
Well, he
It'd
was
be
a misogynist.
Artina Hawkwing. It's the female.
No, it's just going to be. It's just
they've
going to be.
They've already mentioned Arthur Hawkwing in the show, but they said that he was the one who forced the 3 oaths on the Aes Sedai, so he's not a very popular person with these showrunners.
What?
That's all. Yeah.
Did I miss that? Oh
yes.
my
technically, the reason he backed off, allegedly, from what I saw the lore, is that they made the 3 oaths, and because of that, or wasn't that? No.
Nope. The 3 oaths were in place before the Trolloc Wars, more than 1,000 years before Hawkwing. Hawkwing backed off because he died.
That's one way to back off.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's like I don't know. I mean, the fact that they're not even giving Brigitte her freaking braid is kind of irritating, considering the amount of braids in this. Well, you said ponytail, so if it's a ponytail, it's not a braid.
That's the same thing.
No, they're not. The braid's literally braided hair. A ponytail just hangs.
The photo was ambiguous.
She's gonna lead it though. She's gonna be the leader of the returned heroes.
Probably.
I mean, she was pretty prominent in the books. They're like, "Oh my gosh, it's Brigitte Silverbow," and she's like, "Hi there."
No, I like her. I'm just saying, it's like Arthur Hawkwing should still be there leading the charge, but I mean,
yeah. Well, I mean, Arthur Hawkwing is the one who introduces the Heroes of the Horn to the Horn Sounder and company. So
he's the most recognizable one because he's the.
Well, I don't know. I think Gato Kane might be because he's hideous.
No, it's because he's tall and he's got a big ass nose, and he carries a big ass sword called Justice. But he would be the most recognizable historical figure, right, in the last 1,000 years. So if we had something,
are you implying he was Saldean?
No,
big nose.
Could be, but I don't think he was.
Rip her.
But
yeah, so they had.
It's kind of like if you blow the horn these days and then Napoleon shows up, everyone's going to recognize him, even though he's like a short little man.
I was going to say he's short. That's why we would recognize him.
He's got his hand at holding his ulcer or something like that. But anyway.
Yeah, something like that. But yeah, so apparently a director and executive producer, Sana Hamri, is going to apparently visited Morocco mid 2021. Might have been visiting family as she's from Tangier, Morocco. But I don't know if you're staking out a director, and we already know they have done some shooting in Morocco. I don't know how old this article is, but it's apparently 2021, so not super recent. But we know they've been in Morocco, so there's a lot of Moroccan areas. And I think one of the ones I saw was the the Fortress of Jerusalem or whatever it's called that they used in Kingdom of Heaven, I guess. They had that shot. I guess they're using that for something, but they seem to use like these forts that are like so small to be a city and a fortress, like what they do with Faldara. It's supposed to be like a fortress city. It's not supposed to be just a fort, and they just made it look like just a fort. So I don't really understand how that was supposed to work or how they would survive because they had no agriculture or anything and whatever.
and lots of sand. They could make glass.
I mean, I hear you could make glass candy or something like that, you know. Survive off of that. Maybe the Trollocs will go away. Or just raise turn the entire ground into glass since they have channelers, you know, the Lady Amalisa or whatever. She could go out and use the one power to turn all the sand into glass. When the Trollocs come in, they pretty much hurt their feet and fall down and cut themselves and, you know, impale themselves like caltrops or something. You know, creativity, because that's what matters.
And then they eat
subverting your expectations. I mean, that would actually not be a bad idea. It's meat, and they're technically half animal, so it works. But then we have Puglia, Italy, or Puglia, however you say that. It's just that I'm Italian, so I should know that. But
no idea.
Puglia.
Yeah, so Puglia. Okay, that makes sense.
That's a region, isn't it? It's like
the whole, it's a region known for whitewashed hill towns, lush farmlands, and olive trees. Definitely the Aiel waste. So it's a local news site was saying that something about them filming occurring near the city of Ostuni at the Masseria Lo Spengolino and the Masseria Borzone between September 14th and 2021, and they had 400 cast. I didn't think they had 400 people in the entire first season. Like, they did not have anyone appear in the first season. Like, one scene of Game of Thrones had like thousands and thousands of armies, and this whole thing could get like 20 people on the same screen.
This is again where the show is going to claim we listened to the fans and we made positive changes. So one of the complaints probably was that the Logain fight with the Seven
very
Sisters,
disappointing with an army.
Like 20 the King of Gildan with his army of 25 followers shows up and tries to break out Logain. So that much was a bit underwhelming. So maybe they decided to spring for some additional extras.
You know what that would mean is that means that Steve's going to be in trouble because the Prophet's not going to have his mass army. He's going to have like 15 people following him around.
But here you look at the geography, right? So
they will flock to me. Sorry.
There's a video by the same person who wrote the article here, right, Dolman? It's up on YouTube, so you can see some of the shots.
I don't know if this is the same. Oh, actually, yeah, this is the same person.
I don't see how this looks geographically that much different from the Czech Republic in particular areas. Like, why would you go to Italy when you could find a forest location like this in the Czech Republic? Either?
Yeah, it's one of those
here I'm beginning to wonder: is the showrunner
I think it's because of
the
towns and farmlands. That's actually another thing. They could have been blowing a lot of money just to visit the world.
Yeah, I think that's probably what a lot of it is. It's like, you know, Lord of the Rings goes to New Zealand and they find places in New Zealand that work for all of their, you know, it's
and
like
they shift everything to UK for some random reason.
This show does the opposite. They go to different locations because that's where they, as you know, producers, developers, or whatever, want to actually hang out for a while.
Yeah, it's like
rather than finding the best spot.
The director's hometown is in Morocco, so let's shoot something.
One of the directors,
why
producers?
Well, sorry, whatever. I mean, but it's like we're just gonna
maybe what they're doing is they went to each director and said, "What's your most favorite place you'd like to visit?" Yeah. And we'll just shoot that location for each of the directors as part of like their pay or whatever.
Where's your favorite restaurant?
Yeah, basically.
It's just their way of trying to make it worldly, and they're not doing a very good job because it's just you know, you could do this in a much cheaper and
I just want them to actually show a map, like have one of the characters go over the map and say like, here's where we're at and you have to go over here, blah blah blah, and we see that map and we're like, okay, so how are you guys rectifying the fact that you have the borderlands, which are green when it's not winter, but when it's winter, it's like snow, more snow, and extra snow on top of your snow. Would you like some snow with your snow? Because you'll get some more. And then like right below like Saldea, you have, you know, Arad Daman, and then you have the Almoth Plains and then Terrebonne, and Falma in Almoth Plains is a desert. Like that close to freaking snow. It's like going from Texas to Minnesota and like massive deserts, but it's even actually closer to like Minnesota to Iowa, like one step down. It's not even that far. And you're telling me that all of this stuff is going to happen really close to each other, because once you leave Almoth Plain and go further south, it gets green again. But all the hot locations are down at the far south. So it doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
So one idea that's coming to me flipping through some of these shots, which is, again, it's on that separate YouTube video, but in Puglia, they mentioned the location Gravina di Ginosa, which looks like a castle or castle village that's built on a bluff. And I'm noting that a lot of it looks very square, or at least the towers have got flat faces. Yeah. So maybe they'll be using some of this as Kyrian.
Yeah,
because that's the big kind of distinction if you want to.
Well, you saw the one with the wooden town outside, right?
Right, and that's where
I'm assuming is the Forgate. I'm assuming that's the Forgate.
Yeah, I'm getting nervous about that location. So you mentioned that they built stuff on a backlot, right, at Barrandov Studios.
The backlot was Jordan Studios.
Okay. Well, there's also
Barrandov
Studios backlot, and there look to be some rickety buildings, which would probably be said Forgate. And there was one that kind of had the wider shot with the castle around it. So if those are supposed to be the walls of Kyrian, those are off because those had round towers everywhere. But
yeah, and they took the tops off of those towers and put like an Eastern Asian kind of look on them, which I thought was weird because like I've never ever gotten the Eastern Asian look. If you keep going through it, you'll see
tops
it
at all.
Well, there's the topless towers.
They're topless.
That got toppled by the Aiel.
Yeah. But were the topless towers the walls, or were they towers inside the city? Is the other thing.
They were the corner towers of Kyrian.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I remember the Kyrian's map it's very boxy, like extremely boxy, like perfect lines and everything, which is really weird. But
well, it's how they're described culturally too. So Jordan does a good job of
really weird
the architecture with the architecture with the people themselves, right?
I said they're really weird, and you're like, well, that's how they're described. I'm like, really weird.
No, straight lines everywhere. Like they'll cut through a hill if they want to maintain a straight line, whereas Caemlin's described as kind of incorporating the landscape.
Yeah,
following the natural lines or whatever with their architecture.
Which is how I presume most cities would be, because it's a lot of work to go cut everything in to be perfectly square and everything. Mm-hmm. But I mean, that's the one reason it makes me think that's Kyrian. But they said that actual like tower wall gate thing was actually an actual location in the world. I just don't remember where it was. I don't have that good of memory for those things. But it's an actual location. Like that wall is a legitimate wall, and then they built the Forgate outside of that wall as like one big place. Now, power to them for actually making the Forgate, but they made the Forgate look more like a ramshackle of buildings rather than like just lower, newer, under quality, foreign type building.
It is supposed to go ramshackle, but from the clips that I'm seeing here, they kind of outdid themselves with making it look shitty.
Well, I mean,
like no one would live like this. Like it.
I mean,
the walls built from like little tiny reeds and sticks.
Well, I mean, the costume design is terrible. The weapons and armor design is terrible. What do you expect from the set design? I mean, pretty much.
I'm trying to imagine.
Flavellas look better than this, for crying out loud.
I'm having a hard time. Tom Maryland and the bunch of grapes, and it's literally just wood tied together with string. And it's like, wouldn't it have like the basic house form of like maybe some minor stone and whatnot, like nothing like super fancy, but it would at least have the bare expectancy of a Renaissance type location, like not old and pristine like Kyrian, like the inside the city, the inner city.
It has to be livable,
but it would at least look bare minimum, because they've been there for at least 20 years, because the whole Forgate was founded when the Aiel came pouring over the wall. They didn't want to go back to the Dragon Wall after they left, so they've been there around Kyrian. And it's like, this right here would probably get caught on fire at some point naturally, even before they start burning the fort gate down on purpose. Like it wouldn't survive. So it would make sense they'd have plaster type buildings or something that would have at least the bare minimum holding together, because this looks like the wind will blow in and just knock everything down, like the Three Little Piggies or something.
Yeah.
But so there's also in Masseria, well, I didn't say which one, but Masseria are historic fortified farmhouses scattered around the Puglia region. Many are now used as hotels, which would be a really cool place to stay at, honestly, but probably expensive. They're not sure if the filming is taking place inside the buildings, on the grounds, or maybe both.
Yeah, so there's one shot here. Again, it's in the YouTube video that the author here provided. It looks like, very fortified, high straight walls, no windows. Maybe this looks to me more like a Barthana's Manor than that Star Fort that you had.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
But again,
Star Home.
I don't even know if they're actually going to be going to Kyrian or include a lot of this. I think they're going to.
It'd be kind of weird to have the full. Yeah, they can make Kyrian into something else with the Fort Gate. That would be crazy.
And guaranteed, there's going to be a ton of locations for those cold opens that are absolutely unrelated to the plot, as
Which
we
is
know
hilarious.
It. Right?
Like, if you think about it, remember they were Rafe was saying like, "Oh, we can't afford to do this. We don't. We have we have so much story we have to follow and everything." And then he just starts like shooting off on these paths that literally have nothing to do with the story. That's
it's such
what?
complete.
Well, no. So whenever Rafe or Rajanor is saying we can't do something, he's not saying it from the point of view of being financially constrained. He's saying it from the point of view of, I don't agree with this in the story, and therefore I'm not doing it.
Or possibly both. But
well,
I mean,
these are conscious decisions he's making to cut these things. I mean, look, we've talked about the lie that, we can't fit all these people in because there's too many, and then you fit people in that have nothing to do with anything. He just thinks he knows better. I think that's accurate.
Yeah, well, I mean, most directors do. To be fair,
Peter
Jackson was one of the few ones that was like, no, we're gonna like respect the lore as much as possible.
That worked out really bad for them, didn't it? Oh, sorry.
Did in The Hobbit.
Well, The Hobbit was pretty bad. It worked out great for them for the Lord of the Rings, I think The Hobbit, he was told he had to do 3 movies, and he really didn't want to do 3 movies, so he had to like throw random stuff into it. So I feel bad for Peter Jackson for that part. But
he originally didn't even want to do The Hobbit. He didn't want to do it at all. So it was supposed to be. Oh God!
I think if they stayed more lore accurate in terms of like who was there, what was going on, you could have turned the Battle of the Five Armies section into a much longer section, because they made it like very, very small. Like it was like 15 minutes at most, and it's like you could have made that a half an hour to 45 minutes and just all over the place.
But there's no excuse for how bad the Battle of the Five Armies was.
Oh, it was horrible. I mean, we got to see Beorn fall down. That's it.
and the costuming throughout the whole series, and
it was mostly CGI rather than actual suits.
Let's not dive off on a tangent on The Hobbit, but people need to remember that like Peter Jackson was not the saint or the be all and end all of how to do a proper adaptation. He's got a pretty big blight on his record as far as I'm concerned, and that's his follow-up trilogy, which was just unbelievably terrible. So like I can't even watch more than 10 minutes of that film before I have to turn it off. Like, say what you will about the Star Wars prequels, which kind of sucked, but I got through all 3 of those. I could not get through The Hobbit.
Well, I think what makes it worse is that going through The Hobbit, you're still looking at like the 3 hours per video or 2.5 hours per video, where I think the prequels were only like an hour and a half to 2 hours max.
Hey man,
so like it's more you have to go through. But
should we go? Any more locations here back on Wheel of Time?
Yeah, some of them. They said some of the cast confirmed to be in Puglia is Priyanka Bose, who plays Alana Mosvani, Taylor Napier, Maxim, and then Emmanuel Imani, Ivan.
Thank God.
Wasn't Ivan Varen's brother?
No, Thomas was Varen's
brother.
Thomas.
Yeah. Ivan and Owen in the story. Owen got killed in the Two Rivers. Maxim is the showrunner's boyfriend, so he's going to feature prominently in this season. And apparently Gowan is quite likely discussing things with Ivan. So who knows? Maybe we're going to get we're going to get Alana, Gowan, Ivan, and Maxim basically explore polyamory for an episode and a half, and it's going to be season 2 Steppen. because
Yeah.
that's what we all want to see.
Well, I wonder who's going to kill themselves in this one not to be gay. I mean, maybe we'll get lucky to be a Gawain, so we don't have to put up with him the entire series. But
Oh my god.
Madeline Madden, who plays Egwene Alvear, was also spotted there. So I'm not really sure what they're planning on doing that. And
Well, they're going to be doing the Great
Yasha
Hunt.
Stradowski is apparently there with what's her name, Sierra Coveney, who's allegedly going to play Elaine Tricand.
Yeah.
And then Sana Hamri and cinematographer David Moxness was also in Italy early 2021, probably for location scouting and prep. So that's it for Italy. For other places, there were another 2 locations. One is, I'm going to butcher this, Gmunden, Austria. It's Munden with a G in the front of it.
What?
They're literally going all over the places. I don't know what they're trying to do,
man.
because like apparently every location has every possible culture and every possible ethnicity in it, but apparently the locations that they take shots have to be everywhere else.
Yeah, it's like they
instead of the same places.
They won't put different races in different areas, but we got to make sure that we it's just backwards, isn't it? Backwards.
It's very backwards.
It's completely backwards.
I don't know, Dane. Do you think it's backwards?
I don't even know where to begin.
That's pretty much where I'm at. So August 12th, Yasha posted pictures of himself in an area seemingly camping with really nice views of the Tronstein Mountain and Tronsea Lake. I'm not sure what either of those are, but I'm assuming they're in Austria. The next location is in Croatia. Madeline shared pictures from Bol and Split. I'm not really sure what those are. But that was 2 days later. And then Sierra also shared a picture we believe was taken in Split, Croatia. And then, even though Croatia is used for filming location for season 1, the cast at these locations are roughly the same time. They might have been taking advantage of relaxed travel restrictions and enjoying a well-earned vacation. Well earned.
Fuck off. Oh, sorry.
But then filming structure, Sana Hamri will direct, quote unquote, half the season, implying 4 episodes.
What is so Sana Hamri? What has she directed in the past? Do we know?
That'd be a Dane question, if anybody.
Wait, I can look it up.
I don't follow these people.
I don't either. I don't really pay attention to directors because I don't really care about directors. I care about good story.
Music video director. That's usually what comes up.
No.
Okay, so let's see. Romantic comedy. Let's see here. How many credits?
That's pretty much what we've gotten so far.
So let's see here. Filmography.
Love triangle between Egwene, Perrin.
So she's got 57 director credits. So at least she's directed some stuff. Let's
correction. Yeah. She has directing experience. Is it good stuff though?
Well, let's see. I'm going through it right now. So Shameless, she directed some. Empire, I don't know.
Oh god, that's the juicy sommelier.
So a lot of juicy sommelier stuff.
Hey, he might make an appearance. You never know.
So she was the executive producer of Empire. She directed 11 episodes of that. So that's a lot of her credits. Those producer credits. Let's see here. Empire spinoff. Yay. American Horror Stories. 911 Lone Star. I don't know if anybody saw that, but that is garbage TV right there. Empire 19 episodes. So she directed 19 episodes of Empire. Shameless.
It's got to be at least one season, I would imagine.
Shameless is actually a decent show, but I don't know what episodes.
I don't watch any of those shows, so I've kind of given up on American TV shows.
Elementary, which was the I mean, some people liked it, but that was the
I heard it wasn't terrible.
Sherlock Holmes one, so that was, I guess, I don't know. And then you got like Glee, Full Circle, whatever that is. Love Struck is on here a few times. That's like a musical.
So if she has 4 episodes and she's most known for Empire and Glee, what are the odds that
we basically get a
musical?
So the bulk of her. So hold on, I'm gonna count. I'm gonna mute myself. So, but I'm gonna 90210, the new 90210.
So the one without Luke Perry.
Yeah, the new one. It was a resounding hit. No, it wasn't. Sorry. She has. Let's see here. One. Let me count this out.
So one thing, Dolman, that I don't think you mentioned is the Castle Radich pictures.
It
that
didn't
are-
show up in this article. But
Yeah,
I think
so
this article was written before that video was done.
okay.
So she got probably more information over time
Well,
and then made the video to
Maybe
kind
you
of
can
show
link
more
in the
detail.
description of this video to the other one, so people can kind of see what I've been seeing as we've been
Yeah.
discussing.
So sorry.
But
I'm back.
that's a pretty looking castle, as far as things go.
There are
with
some pretty
parkland and
castles
stuff.
there.
And I just looking at this in the curves of some of this palace stuff, I'd be saying if there's a location that kind of looks like Camelin, it would be this.
So real quick though, of her 57 director credits, 19 are Empire, and then
Nice.
37 are music videos.
Yeah, there's going to be some song and dance numbers in season 2. Garen fucking teed.
So
See, I'm just wondering though, because we've got such a diverse world, right? But instead of keeping them in their unique countries and cultures, so that when they interact with each other, it actually means something, they kind of just mesh them together. And
Well, yeah.
because the way the terrain and everything is, and what they're showing us for these
Dude.
locations, that just
Dude,
make
they had-
absolutely no sense.
They had a camel in Tarvalon, for crying out loud.
I know,
Did you
right?
know
Which is
that-
literally in a lush territory.
Did you notice that? And I have to. Maybe you guys know a little better since you've been doing the rewatch. Are all the guards and all the army in Tarvalon? They're all women, aren't they?
The Tower
and
Guard?
Most of them are. I'm
the
pretty sure
Tarvalon
most.
army
There were
are-
more than not.
I'm pretty
We're
sure they're
still
all
going
females.
up, but I don't know if they're going to change the accepted to kind of being those Tower Guard figures, because I think there was a hint of that.
That makes
Yeah,
no
because
sense.
it's like
You're still learning how to
Tarvalon-
channel. Go guard the country.
Tarvalon has a standing army. Hello, let's go.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
The
but
Tower
I mean,
Guard.
what was the line from the Gowan script? The like mistress of the blades or whatever.
Mistress of the.
Oh,
Here, let me
no.
bring it up. That is my favorite. You can just watch my
Oh.
video as I eloquently
Yeah.
acted out. Hold on, I can find
Eloquently.
it.
Definitely eloquently. But what I was saying,
they're already saying that basically military forces in this world have both men and women. Because I mean that was a
it's
slipped
the
in
Rings of
line.
Power Numenorian army. is
Yeah,
what
but
it is.
it was a slipped in line in Moraine's discussion about Manetheren, about the army, and the men and
Yeah.
women of Manetheren ran
Yeah.
back. And it's like they
No.
weren't actually in the army. They came a little bit later, and it's
Yeah.
kind of a better
They
moment.
they
when you set it up
supported
like
the
that.
final stand.
that's-
They did
well,
not
exactly.
go marching along.
That's what makes the freaking the maidens so unique. They are an oddity. That they're not only fierce warriors, but they're women and they're exceedingly good warriors.
It's what makes Brigitte special too.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. So
Yeah.
it's like
Because
Sorry.
I mean, the concept of Brigitte being out and being able to shoot the bow, like even when Val and Luca's like, "Psh, you can't outshoot me," because
Who are you,
it's not
Brigitte?
expected. Yeah, it's like,
Yeah.
who do you think you are, Brigitte Silverbow? And like, the concept was so laughable because it was unheard of. So that when she comes in and is the real deal, it makes it like valuable to the reader and to the story. It doesn't mean anything if everyone can do it. But that's kind of what I was saying is like with all these different ethnicities, cultures, and all that stuff, like mushed together like a jam, instead of keeping them separate, they have all the stuff where it's like, okay, well, we have Asians, we have Africans, we have a few white people, not a whole lot, but it's also a story supposed to be modernized, right? Like they're pushing modernity and a lot of this new Amazon stuff.
Huh.
And if that's the case, then how are they going to ever be like, you're responsible for slavery or some nonsense in a fantasy world, thousands upon thousands of years, way past that point, and then put that in a modernity type thing? Because like the Rings of Power is going to be having issues because they're going to have all this blending of cultures and ethnicities. And then, yeah, you heard about the great genocide of Middle Earth, right? Before they come out with the Fellowship of the Ring. It's like, it makes no sense. And it's like, I don't get it. Like, do you just kill off all these people? Like, where do they go? Why don't they show up? Why are they never mentioned? Like, none of this stuff makes sense. But when they're pushing that modernity concept, how are they going to put that stuff together when it's so diverse? So everyone gets along. It's kumbaya. You wouldn't be able to push that. but it seems like they're trying to push those kind of roles around, and I don't even know where they're going to go with it.
Yeah, no.
I can guess, but
Gowan says the last time I shot a bow, I put an arrow through our mistress at arms.
That's what it was.
Is that Andor though?
Yeah,
Well, that's our mistress at arms.
was
Which would that be Gareth? Well, I guess we're
Master at Arms. It's
Master at Arms would work for Gareth Bryn.
Yeah,
yeah,
would work for
whoever
Gareth Bryn,
teaches.
yeah.
But I think they'll get
Whoever
rid of
has
Gareth
that
Bryn
role.
because they're either going to A, get rid of Gareth Bryn, or B, destroy him like they did Tam.
Gareth Bryn is dead. There's not going to be Gareth Bryn. Sawan is already getting
exactly.
together.
There's no one for him to go have sex with.
There's no
except maybe Maxim.
Well, I have two theories. I have two theories for this. They're either going to have Gareth Bryn be a strong man, but like Lan is underneath a woman's thumb. So everyone's like, yeah, he's strong. And then the woman's in charge of him. So that makes her even stronger. Or they're going to replace Gareth Bryn with somebody, the female version. And then that's the one Swan ends up with. Because she would end up with Gareth. But instead of being a female,
they already cut half the Eye of the World. They have to combine the Great
Hunt. They cut way more than half.
more than that. They have to combine books 2 and 3 together, which means generously they're going to cut half from each and combine things. But it's going to be more because you got to make room for your Yas Queen cold open and a number of other cold opens.
Yas Queen.
This is going to be 20% tops from the books in season 2. 20% tops. The rest, they're all just going to make up and explore the stories that they want. And then they're going to get canceled. And that's exactly what they want, because then they get to blame the toxic fandom and claim to be the victims again. And they've had 3 or 4 years of gallivanting around Europe and North Africa on nice vacations and going to nice locations and blowing $200 million of Amazon's money. Like, that's what it is.
I feel very confident that they're pocketing a lot more money than they're spending.
Oh yeah.
Because there's no way this level of quality gets put out, and I don't know if you guys noticed,
there is a way.
Every single time they did the CGI for the weaving, it always came from off screen. It's pulled to them.
Every time they did it, it's terrible.
Well, that too, but I mean the CGI aspect wasn't like horrible for the weaving. That's about one of the only things I thought that the CGI wasn't completely trash for. But when they I don't know, it kind of pulls from somewhere else where the one power is supposed to fill them. So it's supposed to be kind of come from them. And it's not, it's a metaphysical thing. So it's supposed to be, it get to them without coming from them every single time. But they took the whole Heather.
You could have had so much of the magic done with basically just actors acting and no one seeing anything, right? Like there's a description at the Nynaeve Moghedian fight at the end.
Yes, I love that one where they just stare at each other and like a maid walks by and just
stares. The maid walks by and from her point of view would have only seen 2 women basically frowning at each other and not realizing that there's an actual titanic clash of power going on because she can't see the weaves.
She can't see the literal sparks that anyone who could channel would be able to see.
So you can see the effects of channeling, but you can't actually see the powers unless you're attuned to the power. And women can't see Sidene and men can't see Sidar. So you have a perfect excuse to basically have a magic system without the expense of CGI, like baked in. You could save so much money just staying true to the books, but they're not going to do that. They're not going to do any of this. These people think they know more.
It would be a very creative way to do it in terms of like being able to show the audience that what is seen from the Aes Sedai and Channeler's perspective versus what the rest of the world sees.
Yeah,
you
just have to think about. You'd have to think about doing it deliberately, right? Because it's difficult to put the viewer or whatever inside the POV of an actual character without
it'd be easier if they just
POV cam, but
it'd be just easier if they just threw fireballs like D&D style. Like it would make so much more sense from a video perspective to an audience that's not familiar with it. It would make much more sense to just be like, you see the fireball, because they're like, no, I have to do this weird slow motion dance thing. I don't know if you guys ever watch Viva La Dirt League, but they had one where it was like a Red Dead Redemption thing. And the guy's like, I'm going to go into gunslinger mode. And he's just sitting there. He's like super puffing on like cigars. He's drinking a lot of alcohol. Then he gets up in like a very slow motion and everyone's like looking at him like he's the only one in slow motion. Everyone else is just looking at him like, what? And he just starts going pew pew. He's like, it's absolutely satirical and hilarious because that's what they do. They're humorous based. But that's kind of like how it felt watching Moraine be like, I'm going to tear down this building and fling rocks. I'm like, why would you fling rocks when you have fireballs? What's wrong with you?
Or lightning?
No,
yeah,
no,
I mean, come on.
no. The first Trolloc that she fucking kills in the attack on Emmons Field, she rips apart with the power. She eviscerates it with basically it wraps it in non-generic weaves, and the thing turns inside out.
Like, what weave was that? Yeah.
I don't know, but it's like that was pretty effective. And then why would you switch over to fireballs that could explode and burn things down and cause collateral damage? Yeah. Why the hell then would you rip the wine spring in apart? Except like, anyway, logic goes out the windows with this showrunner. Obviously, they just wanted the visuals. Same thing with the channeling. They'd probably feel like their show is underwhelming if they didn't do the expensive visuals.
But I wonder how much time she spent hula hooping to get ready for her promotion.
Exactly. And then the interpretive dance moves in order to channel like
that drove me nuts. I was just like, no one's that slow.
So anyway,
maybe
getting back to these set locations, I think it's interesting to kind of go through them and guess and speculate what they could be. But I mean, it's a crapshoot, right? Because we know they're going to be cutting a ton from the books, so we don't know what's going to make it, what's not. We also know they're going to be inserting a ton. We also know that what they keep or what they insert or what not necessarily going to be related to the books in any way, shape, or form in terms of the aesthetic, because they turned Tarvalon into a town with camels. They turned Faldara into a desert.
I mean, the camel aspect could potentially make sense because it is a trade hub, and if somebody came from a place with camels, that hypothetically could make sense.
There's no camels mentioned at all in Randland.
I know. Well, there's also no deserts on this side of the coast either. So,
for crying out loud, a day outside of Shatter Logoth in the show, and you had 3 biomes, right? You had Land Moraine and Nynaeve in a forest. You had Egwene and Perrin on the Carolyn Grass. And you had Rand and Perrin in a mountain quarry, like 3 different environments. They don't care. There's no consistency. They're not going to hint back to anything in the books. And guaranteed, we're going to have 8 episodes with 8 obscure random cold opens that could come from anywhere in the series at any time or not at all, right? Well, like the we got the Age of Legends, but we didn't get the prologue or anything else. We got a fun conversation between Latra and Lewis there.
Wait, and you know why that's laughable? I feel like their cold opens are where they think they're injecting their new stuff, and then I think I truly believe they feel like they're doing the books justice, and that's the part that's the scariest, is they think that they're doing a good, accurate adaptation when it's just ridiculous, and they think these cold openings are their way of being like, okay, well, this is where I'm going to put my stuff in here. The rest we'll go with book stuff. And so I think you're absolutely right. We're going to have a cold opening that's garbage for each one.
I think what they're trying to do is Oh, go ahead.
I got a quick question for you guys. Again, sorry, I'm hearkening back to this video that we're going to have to link to. But the Morocco site, you guys saw that picture of the throne with the big chair with the wheel at the back?
I remember, yeah.
10 minutes, 40 seconds on this 12-minute video?
I think I remember that.
What the hell is this?
It's so the open palace in Falma.
No, it's an outdoor set. It looks like a throne for a giant, and it's got a wheel motif kind of at the back. Did you guys have it open?
No,
I do not.
Let me see.
Let me see if I can pull it up.
Yeah, I was looking at some other abomination.
10 minutes 41 seconds is where I got it paused. Looks like sweeping desert vista, and there's a 7-spoked wheel that's representing
10 minutes. What seconds?
41.
10 minutes 41.
Oh yeah.
What in Sam Hill is that?
It looks like somebody melted into the freaking steps up to it or something.
What is this?
That doesn't even make sense. It's literally sitting in the middle of nowhere.
Dude, where did the costume designer where did they hire these set people? Regardless, that's going to be I'm going to put it out there right now. That's going to be like an entrance to Rodion.
Is it though?
No,
actually, do you remember our
I don't know what else it could
teaser? that teaser video we did, Prophet, where we had that big giant wheel, the torture device.
Yeah, well, the wheel
This
that wheel's right
this,
there. Yeah.
this
The wheel.
literally looks right at it, and I'm
Yeah,
like,
I
this
know.
must be the torture. This is Rafe's.
This is gonna
This
be-
is Rafe's chair, and that wheel is the entire show. That's what it is.
I'm telling you, this is Roydion. I'm telling you. Mark here. This is gonna be Roydion.
They're going to
Well,
go all the way to Rodian in
I'm
They're
not.
gonna
I'm
have-
not. I'm
they're
not
gonna
convinced
have-
because I believe wholeheartedly the same way Dane does. The ideal waste will be lush with the water. It's gonna be everything. It's gonna be a paradise.
Yeah, it's gonna be like the near Flint Oasis. You're right. Hey, there's gonna be trees everywhere. No, yeah, similar to the Blight being a lush forest of dangerous stuff that you shouldn't touch as long as you touch everything, though, right? Yeah, I don't know. Because I think probably what they're gonna do, they're gonna have some Aiel punished and that being tied to that circle thing.
Avienda, and Perrin will rescue her.
There you go. Praying to the circle god, apparently. The circle idol that they pray to. The wheel idol, because,
Yeah.
oh my god, dude. Like, they just don't understand any of this. Like, I don't know if they could have got worse people to adapt this show. Because, like, why are there wheels everywhere? That should be like, if you're going to have a freaking, like, a monolith or something, like, have this ancient symbol of the Aes Sedai or or something else, right? I mean, why are there wheels everywhere? Like, it's just stupid. I don't
know. I don't know what this is. I don't know what it could be. I don't know why they do any of the creative choices.
I know it is. They push that over to the Oasis. It's a water slide.
Well, actually, I have two things that I wanted to mention since I pulled up the map and everything. With the cold opens, I think what they're trying to do, and it kind of aligns with the earlier things being said. I think what they're trying to do with the cold opens is they're trying to build the viewer's mindset of what is actually like going on in the story, and they're trying to get that as like, this is the actual plot line, and this is the story of how they're trying to fix the mistakes of these old things that were probably caused by arrogant men. And I think that's how Rafe's trying to portray it, which doesn't follow the story or make sense. And like they have to rewrite the entire story to make sense, and even then it's such a poor job. But the second thing is that when you look on this map, there's fields, there's plains, there's all these things, but there is, ironically, no deserts.
The Aiel
anywhere.
waste is the desert.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, that's a wasteland rather than a desert.
I know.
Yeah.
No, it's a desert. It's full
Shara
on
the desert too?
Well,
Isn't
the
Shara
desert would
supposed to
imply
be
like
desert?
sand dunes and stuff, wouldn't it? Because a waste is like cracked earth.
A desert is
versus
just
sand.
purely defined by lack of precipitation. Like Antarctica is a desert.
I guess then technically
So-
would count. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I just see it
but
more as a
Shara-
wasteland in my brain. but-
Shara, we don't know. Shara is no one has a good view of the inside of the interior of the country.
Okay.
That's
I
what you
wasn't-
know about Shara.
Yeah. Okay. I guess
It's
that was just
exotic.
an
That's what we
assumption.
Yeah.
We know Shara's over there. That's what we know. Okay.
Yeah.
For some reason,
Yeah,
I guess it was just an
somewhere
assumption
over
I
there.
made that it was a desert. So obviously it was. So
No, the Aiel waste has got like hyenas and lions and
Bears, oh my. Just kidding.
and lush
No.
trees and forests.
but yeah, in this show it'll be completely different.
And nice
but-
nice water.
How can they say my water and shade is yours if they don't have a ton of water and shade, right?
I think that's
Does
what makes
she
it
even
important.
say that? What's the line she says? She doesn't even say water and shade, does she?
My
She
water
says
is
my
yours.
shade is to share with you or something. Like she says
Share-
something about shade.
shares her
it-
shelter rather than her roof because she's an idiot.
And she's not a roof mistress. There's that too.
That too.
But which
Oh,
there,
boy.
that's the thing is like that's one of the things about the Aiel that would be great for them to include as like power to the women, which is like roof mistresses, strong women that
Look,
rule the house, and that men have to submit to them, or that at least that's the concept they come up with, that they have to submit to them to be able to even enter and enjoy relaxing away from the harsh environment around them. But they're not even to have that.
That's
No,
the most
because-
disappointing thing about this whole thing. You don't have to inject all this, female superiority. It's already in the books. There's all this stuff doesn't need to be fakely injected or rewritten. There are lots of points where women are in control and women get theirs, and women are brought to the forefront, and powerful women and all. It's ugh.
superfluous.
Well, I
And
mean, if
it's
you
just
notice,
making it worse.
if you noticed that when they have like the Aes Sedai in the White Tower, the seat of power on this continent, right? They're like, it's the men's fault. I'm like, you guys are the ones in charge. It can't
For
be the men's
3,000
fault.
years.
Yeah, for 3,000 years, it's been you guys, and you still blame everything on the men, which if it wasn't for the men going insane, you possibly wouldn't be the ones in power. So you're welcome. Like, it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. And
Well, and then on top of that, just looking at this map, I'm glad you brought the map up. The fact that they're even considering combining Falme, or what are we calling
yeah,
it?
Falma.
Falma and Tyr. Just look at the map. Falma's over there. Tyr is
Yeah.
on the other side of Randland, complete other side of Randland, and we're talking about combining those.
Yeah, I'm not seeing. They show the portal stones, but they're not showing the actual like. This one
Crazy.
shows the Waygate, portal stone, portal stone, portal stone, portal stone, but it's not showing actual Stone of Tyr. I'm assuming it's right here at the actual point at the
assume center
of the
of Tyr is
dragon.
the stone. Yeah,
But like that's where the stone is, and then you go way over here to the great serpent spear symbol thing, and then there's Falm right on the edge of this little peninsula sticking out. Right, you're like, they're nowhere near each other. Their cultures are diametrically opposed in probably every way possible, like architecture style, clothing
it's the
style.
other
It's
end
muddy
of the
in
world.
Tyr. It's apparently not in Tomon Head.
It might
It's
as
like
well be California and New York, man. Like,
both suck, but yes.
okay, freaking
we already.
Maine
The
and
thing is, we
freaking
already
Mexico.
saw Tyr in the cold open for Swan Sanche. The only
which is not desert.
Yeah, and the only other caveat is it's also not Tyr because Tyr is built on a delta, and a delta does not have a canyon. That's not how deltas work.
Well, they could be arguing that it's the further north of Tyr, inside Tyr's borders,
But
is where she grew up.
Fishing.
Well, I mean, it's freshwater.
She could have been fishing anywhere. So who knows what we actually saw in the Swan?
That's all they were thinking, Dane. It's like she has to be fishing. They don't care about anything else.
They flew her to
the thing
China.
Is, we know that she was with her father in a boat because all those boat references.
Yeah.
You know the kind of fish she always went with her father to catch because she always brings them up in all of her sayings.
And she can
we don't get any of that
without any training because she's awesome.
She's not a fisher girl.
We also know that sending her from Tyr all the way up, all the way
by
up,
herself.
Oh my
God.
Like,
come with me, father.
No, you'll be okay. It'll only take you about 2 months, but you'll be fine.
Going against the current. You'll be fine.
You keep your line in the water so you can eat. Sorry, go ahead.
Or as Critical Drinker always says, nah, it'll be fine. Like it's literally what it is. It's just like you're gonna just send somebody up this massive, and somebody did. I can't remember who it was. But somebody did like an overlay of how far that was. Is like the equivalent of going from Florida to like Toronto.
Yep.
Like so that's a massive distance
in a boat
without any supplies.
Yourself at like 12 or 14.
She's 6 years old.
Yeah, it's like
she's like 6 years old.
Go to yeah,
she didn't look 6 years old in the show. She looked like she was 14 in the show. But I was like, even if you were like 17 or 18, I wouldn't give one person by themselves upriver.
I think
the way.
Whatever she was too young to actually be channeling already. So that's another.
There's
that point of contention.
Man, we can go into that forever.
Anyways.
I'm just listening to freaking. I'm listening to Great Hunt, and it's just the difficulty in learning how to channel is real, and the amount of training it takes to just be able to channel a little tiny bit is hard. It's hard. They're just floating around the power like it's easy. It's just like
did you guys notice in that cold open, like because she can channel, people like burn their house to the ground, and I'm like. It's illegal to channel in Tyr, but I don't think they go around burning people's houses to the ground. If you don't channel, because Aes Sedai are allowed to go into Tyr, but they're not allowed to channel. Like that's the opposition in terms of things like it's tolerated that you have the capabilities. It's not tolerated that you actually do it, but they wouldn't burn your house down. They would arrest you. Like
Yeah.
it like they're making this whole like, look at all these people hate us women who can channel because they burned my house to the ground and I was forced to flee. Like she's some sort of refugee martyr type thing. Like it doesn't even make sense because that's not how Tyr is. Like Tyr has a lot of reasons to be stupid and everybody not like it. That's not one of them.
I don't know. They don't
It's
care.
probably not
But-
even Tyr though. Just
That's
because
also
the geography
very
and
true.
the distances, it's all everything they did in the show is wrong. So let's just, I guess, bring it back
Everyone's
to this
wrong
whole
but me.
This whole location thing is there. Literally, very little we can actually glean or insight from videos like this and suggested filming locations, because anything that we expect to show up probably isn't going to show up, or it's not going to look how it's supposed to. And this is, it's not just the casting, right? It's the set design, it's the costume, it's the locations, it's the geography, plot points, everything about it's inconsistent. We can theorize about season 2 till the cows come home, but there's only one thing that's guaranteed, and it's whatever we think, it's going to be worse.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I have a pretty bad imagination.
Whatever you can come up with, make your predictions, but whatever ends up on screen is going to be worse. There's literally no way that we, as semi-functioning, half-intelligent people, can do a job as poor as these idiots. It's just,
as you say, the worst thing
possible.
ever. Look at the screen.
The torture wheel,
Like,
yay!
It's literally like it can't get any worse than this, guys.
They're praying to the wheel god.
As a writer, you cannot write someone smarter than yourself. Well, I think we're suffering from the problem. We cannot write anything as dumb as these idiots are capable of doing.
I'll take it as a compliment.
It's beyond our capability.
The wheel god Wheelios. Please.
I am interested to see how Donal Finn takes over Matt's character. Like how they managed to pull that off is going to be interesting. I don't know. I'm assuming they're going to give him facial hair like Barney Harris's Matt, and then still is stupid because he can't grow a beard.
Prediction: he's going to be dead by the 3rd episode of season 2, and then Rafe is going to be like, "Haha, see, character died," and everyone's going to
kill Matt. Oh my
probably.
god!
Literally everyone's favorite character. You're going to kill the one humorous part of this series.
And guaranteed. So this is a prediction I'm making, but I'm not capable of making accurate predictions about this show. So the only thing I can say to that is, if he doesn't die, you're going to wish he did.
Yeah, well,
possibly.
I think we can say that about all of them.
Or maybe you're wishing that already.
I think we're all wishing that already because I don't know.
This is an article from Tom's Guide, which typically is not horrible. But they had a confirmed cast list we know so far. Obviously, Rosamund Pike Moraine, Danielle Henney as Lan, Yasha Stradowski is Rand, Marcus Rutherford as Perrin.
Lady Melissa is going to be in it again. Woo hoo.
Well, obviously, she's not dead.
She got burnt to she got burnt to a crisp, so maybe we'll see her in a fun flashback. Anyways, but I got to bounce, boys. I got some.
Well, thanks, Dane, for hanging out.
But I don't know if you guys are going to keep going, but this was fun going through.
We'll probably get wrapping up, but yeah.
Okay, we'll do it again sometime when there's more info on season 2 as the drip comes in.
I hope.
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, thanks,
Dane.
Take care, boys. See you.
Right, bye.
Have a good
one. How do I get out of here?
I'll kick you. Don't worry.
Okay, leave.
That works too.
There you go.
We're all learning. But yeah, then this is the list we got. Madeline Madden coming back as Egwene, Donal Finn as Matt Cawthon, Zoe Robbins as Nynaeve,
Lord Agelmar. Do we think Lord Agelmar is alive? I think they said, isn't that the rumor that he's alive?
I want him to die because that's not Agelmar. There's no way. He's not a rude jerk to Aes Sedai because everyone in the Borderlands respects him. That too. He's supposed to be one of the most brilliant battle strategists in the world out of the 10? There's 10 great captains and he's supposed to be one of them, but yeah, he does the dumbest moves you could possibly do.
Well, and it's like so it's just sort of because it's like they have. Oh, sorry, you go ahead and finish. I'll say what I'm gonna say after you finish reading the.
I was just reading through these lists, but you're all good.
I'll wait till you're
Sierra Coveney is supposed to be Elaine. Sophie Okonedo as Swan Sanche. Guy Roberts as Uno. Uno just did not mix in there at all. Dude, maybe the guy's a good Uno, but he didn't fit. I don't understand it. He's small, but the thing is I don't think Uno's height was ever really brought into it. It's his presence. His presence is always brought in. Like he just glares at soldiers and they shrink back. Like he's a veteran. Yeah. He's got a loose cannon mouth. He's great around Aes Sedai because he struggles so hard to hold himself back. But like he himself, like that's one of the things about like the cultural and ethnical aspects of each of these locations. Like Shinar should be unified in terms of its ethnicity, its cultural appearance, how the city is, the building architecture, all that stuff should be unified as all Shinaran. Because when you see it, you say, that's Shinaran.
Yeah.
But when you look at people, you're like, you're a Shinar. And it's like, why? He looks just like everybody else. And like, he looks just like an Andoran. He also looks just like an Illianer. He looks like a freaking,
Mirandian. What we touched on the locations. They're willing to go to all these little different locations and get different looks for different cultures, but you're not willing to cast a culture all the same people so we know what that culture is. You can't cast all Andorians to look the same. You can't cast all Borderlanders to at least look the same. Of course, you're going to have different looking ones here and there, but the bulk of them, if you go to China, you're going to be surrounded by mostly Chinese people. With
you go to Japan, you're mostly
races.
Japanese people. But the thing is that when they say these cultures and they say like the soldiers and whatnot, those are the soldiers are the same. The actual general population may have a little bit of diversity in terms of like, hey, there's some people who are from out of town that are bringing their merchant goods here. There's farmers selling their stuff from the outskirts or whatever that aren't technically part of Shinar, but this is the best place to sell them or whatever. Like there's expected to be some level of minor melting pot, I guess, like to some extent. Like in Andor, Matt in the books makes comment that he sees this black person and it's an exotic thing to see because he's not seen one before.
Right.
And if that's the case, it's rare in Andor for this black person to exist there because they're not used to seeing them, but they do show up, but they're probably traveling merchants. They're probably either mercenaries, merchant guards. There's lots of things they could be, but what they aren't are the normal population. So there's the general population, which looks the same. And then, it's the same way with any town, anywhere. You go anywhere, there's some one-offs here and there. No one's saying there's not, but the general broad look of the population would match to something that they would be from. Like if Shinar was Asian, then they should all be Asian
with a few here and there. Right.
Yeah. And if Min's actually from Shinar, she would look Asian, which would make sense. But since she's from Baerlon and Andor, she should look Andoran, which is more European. And it's like, if that's the case, then why do you cast this person? Why'd you move her? Like all this stuff, you could have had Min pop into that mining town where Tom was. And Min could have been somebody there that was at the inn, and she's the one who actually kills the dark friend that apparently can outsmart Rand and Matt and everything and all that jazz, which that was a whole different thing. But she could have been the one that kills them and then says, you guys need to get out of here, and then shows up somewhere else, like possibly Faldara. I don't see Faldara being a place they go because she wouldn't be able to get there without going through the ways. But she could show up at Tarvalin. She could show up in other places that would actually make sense. Maybe travel with them or something to make her more of a character, even though that's not how the story is. That would have been a better way to introduce her and to keep her in. She could have been left at Tarvalin, which would explain her being at Tarvalin later on in The Great Hunt, where she's like, well, Moraine called me here, and now I'm stuck. So now she's with Elaine and Nynaeve and Egwene. That would make sense. That would at least be moderately accurate to the books, and we would get that. And she wouldn't look like she's like 80 years old, but that's a different story. But then we have obviously Sandra Yee Sendiver as Lady Amalisa, Greg Chilling-Girion as Ingtar Shinoa. I don't remember seeing him, but he's got to be in there. But I thought he was one of the guys that got killed. Like, wasn't him, Uno, and everybody that was got the horns die?
I'm almost positive I looked it up because I'm like, it's a different guy. Ingtar wasn't.
Okay, so it's a different guy.
Yeah,
okay.
Ingtar wasn't in season 1.
There's that to go for. But why wasn't he there fighting with his lord to
why wasn't
protect
Ingtar there? Yeah,
yeah, like that doesn't make sense.
Ingtar should have been there. That's a problem that he wasn't. Yeah.
And then there's Arnis Federovicius as Massima. There's you, Steve.
Yeah,
you are the Arnis Federovicius.
That's actually a good actor too. He's in. That's the guy from.
I know none of these names beyond the basic characters.
The only reason I know him is he's from Last Kingdom on.
I haven't
Netflix.
watched it, but I heard it's good.
I enjoy it quite a bit. He plays one of the characters he plays one of the characters in that show and does a good job. So it's a shame that. Well, we'll see. We'll see what
it's a shame he's fallen so far to the wheel of time. Yeah. There's Natasha O'Keefe. That's just a strange. Natasha's like a more Eastern European, like Russian, Bulgarian kind of area, and then you have O'Keefe, which is like Irish. It's
Natasha O'Keefe.
Okay. She's to be announced role, so she's on the cast list, but we don't know as who. And then there's Mira Sayel, who's also announced soon. The role of Avienda has apparently yet to be cast. I think this is a little bit older.
Yeah, so it looks like
is now.
Old, so.
And then the unconfirmed returning is Hamed Animashan as Loyal, Kay Alexander as Min Farshaw.
Yeah,
go ahead.
No, it's just not a very good list because we already know that all the unconfirmed ones are going to be back. So. Yeah, especially Ivron, Maxim, and Alana. Yeah. They're gonna have
Leanne Sharif. We only saw her in like 2 scenes.
Yeah,
like we barely saw her. She doesn't even say anything. She just tong on the ground. That's it. That's literally all she does.
She makes, yeah.
I'm mad at you, but I'm not going to show it. But this is actually just my resting face. Like that's all she's done. And I'm like, why did you have anyone special for this? Because you're definitely not going to go down her story arc along Swan's. There's no way. You're not going to have Swan fall from grace. There's no way. Although I think they'll probably eliminate Elida and put Leandrin as the Amerlin if they go that route. They're not going to bring in. Well, because Leandrin's a non-player in the actual series, in the book series. So Elida would make a much better antagonist, but they don't even introduce her. She would be the one to hunt down people or whatever. It's all stupid. But I'm guessing maybe Natasha O'Keefe or Mira Sayal is the advisor to Morghese, and that's how Elaine is familiar with the Reds or whatever. I don't know. One of them could be that way, but the episode list they mentioned here, Sanaa Hamri is going to direct half the season, and then the first episode is the only one we have an actual name for by the time this article was written, which is A Taste of Solitude by Amanda Kate Schumann. And apparently Dain was not particularly happy about that. But the rest of them we don't have names yet. They have the things they'd like to see. And I actually agree with some of these, better visual effects.
Yes.
It says the visual effects for Wheel of Time's first season were all over the place. Sometimes they look great, and other times they looked incredibly low budget and shoddy. I can agree with that. Some things did look. They looked good. They looked out of place, but they looked good.
More often than not, it was janky because channeling always looked weird.
This is the visual effects. I don't know if it counts as CGI.
Okay.
I think they're talking about like buildings, locations, art, like the props and stuff. COVID-19 pandemic surely threw a wrench in things, so I hope the production crew can do a better job for the season. I can agree with that. I can confer that that would make sense. Now this one is great. More consistent writing and structure. They definitely could use some of this. It's like, while I think the core of the show was fine, the writing was all over the place. Contradictions to the book's lore and just lackluster writing in places certainly made me raise an eyebrow more than once. The pacing left a lot to be asked for, and the show wasted its very limited time on superfluous. I always mess up this word. Superfluous. Thank you. See, I can't even say it. You were struggling too. Thanks for making me not feel alone. I'm not even going to try it. Things like the Steppen arc. The Steppen arc was a massive waste of time. It was a massive waste of time. And then, as such, we had a few episodes. And didn't get us anywhere. But we had nothing else we could possibly tell story-wise in that time period. We had few opportunities to get to know the characters other than Moraine. I'd like to see season 2 have much more consistency and quality, especially in dialogue.
Yeah, I don't even
Most
know that we know
definitely.
Moraine, so I don't even agree with that.
I don't know who she is because she's nothing like Moraine from the books.
Yeah,
She's an idiot. She doesn't
we
know
don't-
basic things that she was there to like know.
Yeah, all we know about Moraine is she's stupid. That's about it.
Well, I did a calculation of like if you were to do the 64 episodes of what this is supposed to, the entire series on Amazon is supposed to be 64 episodes, right? If you were to do one book per each, so many episodes, you'd have to do 4 episodes, like 4 to 4.5 episodes per book, which means you have to do the entire book in 4.5 episodes. And some of these were down to like 38 minutes or something.
Yep.
There's no way. Now, if you did them an hour and a half, you probably could fit a whole book in there if you went quick.
Dude, I'm sorry. You got Stranger Things doing, 2-hour episodes because they have the content they want to
Rings
put
of
in there.
Power's first 2 or 3 episodes are supposed to be like 3 hours each or whatever.
These bullshit, excuse my language, half-hour, 40-minute episode things. Just make an hour episode. Look, there is plenty of room to do everything. I'm done listening to anybody that wants to try and tell me that they couldn't fit all the book stuff in. I'm listening to The Great Hunt. Like, that's part of why I'm listening to a lot of this stuff again. Is like I'm sort of thinking in my mind as I'm listening to stuff. It's like, okay, all of this can be removed. All of this could have been removed. All of this could have been removed. We need this. We need this. We need that. There's plenty of fat to cut off and still have the core of the frickin' story. It's all just bullshit excuses to put their own crap in it.
Actually, one of the really interesting things that our crew at the Questioners has in planning stage to do in terms of show what they could do, but not just show it the way you might think. So that's going to be fun. So
cool.
The idea to come out with that will be probably not for some time because it's a lot of planning preparation and a lot of resources that we don't necessarily have right now. But if we can manage to pull it together, it's going to be flipping awesome.
Well, I hope it comes
flaming
together.
Awesome. Oh, I am definitely looking forward to it. One of the other things here is more immersive set design and costuming.
Yeah, because it's all garbage.
Yeah, that too.
Like it's all garbage. Sorry, it's all garbage.
Well, the sets they reuse the same sets that Shadar Logoth and Tar Valon.
Well, they're going all over the world.
Couldn't even make them look differently.
It's like you're going all over the world for so you have good places to shoot, and then you can't even make it look good.
Yeah, and the costumes look like in great condition, like they're brand new off the tailor rack. Like,
well, and
I don't get
that. Not only that, but they're terrible designs. Not only they don't look worn, like worn in world.
They don't look aged.
Brand new. They don't look aged at all. Yeah, I'm not even talking about that.
Weathered
I'm talking about the design of the damn costumes is horrible.
Yeah,
it's bad.
Well, and this guy and I differ in this regard.
Like, it's like when you have a word for word description of Matt Stagger in the book,
it looks nothing like what they got,
and then you can't even replicate that. You have a word for word description of Rand's sword in the book. You can't even do that. You got a word for word description of Lan's sword in the book. You can't get that right either. It's
the thing is Robert Jordan was really good at detail, and Rafanor or Ragnar, whatever you want to call him, is just not utilizing the stuff here that he could. And I find that just annoying as all get out because I like detail. That's one of the reasons I love Robert Jordan is the fact that he pays attention to detail to the point where most people get annoyed by how much detail he pays attention to.
Well, and that's always what I say about cutting stuff out. It's like, well, all the stuff you're cutting out, you have descriptive text that's going to be cut out of these books. And guess where that goes? That goes into your scenery. That goes into your clothing. You put those things in there, and then guess what? Those lines of text are now brought to the screen by what you put in the costume.
In seconds.
You don't have to waste dialogue on it. You've now put, oh, hey, these 4 paragraphs describing Rand's sword. Hey, he just took his sword out of his scabbard. There you go. Done.
Well, that's the other thing is like, imagine like I can't remember which book it is, but one of the books, he starts out in the prologue, like describing the scenery of like an orchard and everything and all this stuff. And it's like 3 pages long, but I'm like, But if you take that 3 pages long of like material and you put it on a camera and you just pan the camera, you
Yep.
take 3 pages in like 3 seconds.
Yeah.
Like literally, like the time reduction is amazingly in favor of a true adaptation. Now that's going to come up after this part, but I wanted to comment on this where he's like, I differ with him with this part where he's like, I like the costume and set design in the first season, but then
Nope.
he does say a bit more where he's like, almost everything felt too contrived. And a person he noticed comment on it was that the sets just look, quote unquote, just looking like sets instead of places you could go to, which is like that thing. It's like the difference between seeing Tar Valon and seeing Hobbiton in the Lord of the Rings. Hobbiton looks like a place you could go. It looks like a place. It doesn't look like a set. It looks like a place you could go. You could go inside with the Hobbit holes. You could go down to the Green Dragon. You could go sit under the tree. Like it looks like a place you could go.
Yeah.
Tar Valon looks like they just freshly, like they have robots you can't see that clean the streets and make them bleached stone or something. Like they went way too clean. And obviously when you have travel worn merchants coming from outside the city, it's not like they like run you through a spray down where they like pressure wash your entire cart, all your goods, and you, and no dust is dare come inside of the walls of the Tar Valon. It's going to be dirty. It's going to be money. It's going to be like, it's clean to a certain extent, but it's not like super dirty.
Padan Fane is so clean cut by the end of the show. It's ridiculous.
I mean, he was never not clean cut that I saw.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's clean. Just
he's supposed to be like,
he went through all
kind of
that
disgusting,
stuff and,
all that
yeah,
stuff.
he's disgusting. He's freaking crazy by the end. So
he seemed to be the most sane person in the set, honestly. But yeah, it's like a freaking complaint I saw through the first season was the costumes were too clean. We've covered that. In the case of the Aes Sedai, this isn't a problem since they can use the one power to keep their clothes clean. Now, okay, prestidigitation from D&D is what they're thinking of. Like you're just like, oh, I snap my fingers and bam, all the stuff's off of me and my clothes and I'm in pristine condition. It's like I don't recall Aes Sedai doing this that much. Like they could pull water off of themselves or something like that, but I don't recall them like cleaning themselves to the point of prestidigitation. In terms of like,
to be honest, I don't think
so. I don't remember any scenes where they do that in the books. Like they get rained on, like when they're, I don't know how far you're in the Great Hunt, but when they get close to Tomon Head, you've got Matt and company on their way to Falma, and there's just a deluge just pouring on them. And Matt turns to Varen and is like, "Can't you do something about this?"
She's like, "No, right?" Yeah.
Well, no, she's like, "Sure, I could, but I'd have to draw every Damane and Soldam within 10 miles would know exactly my pinpoint location. So I think we can just get wet."
Yeah, no, it's one of those they can control their body temperatures to a certain point, but that's it. Like.
Well, they have the ability to like detach themselves from the temperature aspect, and that's how they they keep themselves. It's a mind trick more than the one power, and they've stated that in the book, which means anyone can do it. They just don't.
That's true. That's true.
But then they have like the rest of the cast looked a bit too pristine. Compare this to the Netflix's The Witcher, most of which look downright filthy when they should have, which is an apt comparison. I have yet to watch Witcher Season 2 because Witcher Season 1 disappointed me so much. I have it on my watch list, but I can't bring myself to watch it when I have other things I could watch that I actually want to. But it's like that same concept. At least they got Geralt dirty. At least they got him covered in blood, dirt, sweat, disgusting stuff. Made him look like he actually made effort. Like, look at the fight where the King of Gildon shows up with his 25-sized army and attacks. They... Like after that large effort, people should have been sweating, dripping in sweat. It looked very humid in that location. So they should have been just doused in sweat. And they looked like they just walked out of an air-conditioned building. Like it didn't look like anything effort-wise had happened. And there's a whole lot of other things like Steppen cutting through weaves is so stupid. But then the last part here is, stay true to the source material. And this is everyone's plea with them, but we know that's not going to happen.
Nope.
It's like, I'm not going to sit here and say the show must be 100% book accurate. Now, I think they could, they just won't.
They could, but I get like
A lot of people might not appreciate that it would be 100% book accurate, but it is in fact possible.
I think it's possible, but I don't think anybody's asking for that. Like
Nobody's asking for it, but I think they would be capable of doing it, because every time that's brought up, people are like, "It's not possible." I'm like,
Yes,
"How do you know it's not possible? No one's ever tried it.
It's possible.
No one's ever. It's easily, like, you literally have the script, the words, everything's on paper for it. You could easily do it. Would it be super long? Oh yeah, you bet your bottom dollar.
I don't
Would
even
it
know
be
10
super
seasons.
expensive? Sure.
I bet they could get it in 10 seasons. To be honest, I mean, I really there's
100% adaptation, like book accurate.
Yeah.
Oh no, it'd be like double that.
I don't know. I think you're overestimating. If you like, I mean, I guess to be 100%. Yeah. Well, never mind.
If you include all the dialogue,
because I'm thinking of cutting stuff. Cutting.
Yeah, if you're trimming down stuff, you could easily do it in 10 seasons. Easy.
Yeah.
But like in this case, he's like, that's not how adaptation works. I'm like, technically, adaptation is only taking it from one medium to another. And you're like, okay, well, if that's the case, you're just taking paper and pages and turning it into like 3D representation on a camera. That's it. That's all adaptation is. It's not like
the problem is adaptation. The word adaptation, the definition is lost on today's filmmaking people. They don't understand that adaptation is you're taking one thing and putting it. You're basically transposing it. It's not a reimagining. You think of retelling, reimagining, or as he puts it, looks like
they took the whole based on a true story and literally leaned in the based part.
Based, yeah, like he says.
It wasn't. This is the telling of a true story. That's not what they do. This is based on it because they know they're not going to get anywhere remotely close. And even if you see things like, I think it was like Blindside, the football movie, was based on a true story, and I'm like, guys, that story is so short. You could have done like word for word and still made it in 2 hours. Yeah. Like there's not enough content for it to be that kind of a thing. But then you have, the basic stuff. You have like season 1 changed a few too many things from the books, disregarded many of the pieces of canon as well, which even a few fans who never read the books think of with raised eyebrows. Like that's one of the main things is like people are like, but why change this? Like even some staunch supporters of the show.
Yeah, I disagree with the showrunners deserve some creative liberty. No, they don't.
They don't.
Adapt with you have been given the reins to this fantasy epic that is loved by many, by millions. You have an obligation to tell it the way
you don't have any say on how this should come out. It should come out the way it's supposed to be.
The only thing I will say is like, okay, if I'm going to compromise creative liberty, okay, so take something like Elias. Tell a little bit of his backstory. Give us, make up, you want to give us some history of Elias because that was in the book. Okay, that's where you can take your creative liberty. The stuff that's
you could do a flashback or something of him explaining it, like a voiceover.
Give us some Logain stuff. Give us some background on Tame. Give us some background on Suwon. There's all kinds of places where you could take your creative liberty on stuff that was not.
And there would be cool stuff like Tam's history.
Yeah,
Tam's history absolutely. What is it? Not the companions. What are they called down in Ilion?
The bees. The freaking.
Well, not the bees. There's like an elite soldier force that has a specific name.
Remember.
And he became the lieutenant of the. I thought it was like the 100 Companions or something, but that's actually Luce Theron's thing.
No, but I mean, his rise to becoming a Blade Master, all the way up to him finding Rand on Dragonmount, right? I mean,
and then bringing him home and leaving all that warfare stuff when he finds a wife.
Then you can have him and Carrie raising him when meeting Master Lu. All them inject, all this stuff in the Two Rivers. Hell, have a man instead of like that was what I said. I think in one of my videos when she's telling about Manetheren. Fucking have an animated short about showing it, or have it acted out, the fall of Manetheren. Like that's where you inject your creativity and you take your liberties is on stuff that's not in the books.
The creativity is how you show it, but you still have to show it. Like the creativity is like, do you do it from this shot to this shot? That's irrelevant. Like that you can just be as creative as you'd like, but you have to show it. You have to show these things, not necessarily Tam's background. Like it's a paragraph of information that you hear scattered throughout the entire series,
This
but
is so,
it's still interesting stuff. That'd be cool to
yeah.
see.
Oh yeah, this is so beyond taking some creative liberty that it's ridiculous. It's now it is.
Well, that's what this like after the part you say
rewriting.
the showrunners deserve some creative liberty, but then he like totally flip flops on that. He's like, but at a certain point, an adaptation stops being quote unquote based on its source material and becomes quote unquote inspired by it. And that's the difference thing is like inspired and based on mean totally different things, but even based on is different than what they're
and I
intending
don't
it to
even
be.
I don't even think you can call this inspired by, because they've just taken names and places and that's it.
Yeah, that's
So,
the thing is like it's like what about this is really kind of a wicked channel. I'm like, but magic is in all tons. Like you could say Shannara Chronicles, they have magic. So is this inspired by Shannara Chronicles? Because so far it feels like it's more accurate to Shannara than it is to this.
Yeah,
and I never even read Shannara.
They've pilfered names and places. That's about it. So, yep, it's pretty sad.
And then I had another article, but I think this pretty much covered all of it in this regard. So I'll knock that down and we can go ahead and be spared the next one. There are some images of like the castles and the terrain and stuff, which are very pretty. But there's a lot of it's an atlasofwonders.com where they do Where Was the Wheel of Time filmed, if you want to look it up. But it's it shows the image of Tar Valon and the image of Shadar Logoth, and it's literally the same set.
The same thing.
Literally side by side. You know what? Just screw it. I'll just show the images. We don't have to read it or anything, but just showing these two things is incredibly just it hurts my brain. Let me go there to the top first. I don't want to
you're gonna lose me in a few minutes. So
I know. I'm planning on wrapping this up, so I don't.
Yeah, I figured. I figured, but this would be good to take a look at this because I think you showed me this before, but it's pretty blatant.
Yeah. So here's filming locations. This is supposed to be like towers or spires of something somewhere or whatever. Like they did a lot of CGI stuff with it.
Yeah.
That's the scenes where they did this right here is the scene for Leandrin trapping the guy and crushing the path, like literally destroying a trade route to catch a guy. Like it's ridiculous. And then we have this, which is apparently a forest park in China, which is where they did the border sets, I guess. It's a pretty place, but I mean, it's China. And then we have this
the
wonderful pushing Egwene into the cliff, and then
the giant waste of time at the beginning.
Unfortunately, Egwene survived.
Yeah, right. She
did her own
stunts, though. Like it's like, oh my god.
Yeah, that was apparently a place you could take a rafting tour over. And then this is the horribly CGI'd and maybe some practically built stuff for the Two Rivers, which all this rocket mountain and forest just doesn't make sense because you can look at the map, which I'm not going to switch to the map right now, but you can look at the map and it literally, like, if you ever see a zoomed in version that Robert Jordan gives us for the Two Rivers, it's literally all farmland around them. It's flat farmland with the road. With the road that goes to Tarn Ferry, north and south, and then on the other side of the road is all the forest. That's where Rand drags Tam through during Winter Night. Like that's part of the story and everything. We all lost all of that stuff to what we could have gotten out of it. And then here's a place in Czechoslovakia, or this is Slovenia, where they did this. They're like all over the place for like one shot. These bridges don't really make much sense because it's literally out, like where they're at is out in the middle of nowhere. So I'm like, is this supposed to be something, a place like that would actually have? This is where they cross, I guess, water. This is, what is this? This looks like it's coming from Czechoslovakia, Slovenian Alps or whatever. Some destroyed housing and whatnot they're staying at, I think, after they left the Two Rivers. And then here's a picture of Shadar Logoth, right?
Right.
during the day, mind you. Which I'm pretty sure that during the day did not mean clouded skies. It meant it was sunlight, and then the sun goes down, and that's when it gets like really, really bad. This looks like it's cloudy or something. I don't really understand that. There's no sunlight coming through.
Yeah.
But then you have this also. This is the inside, supposedly. Doesn't that look kind of familiar?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Quite.
It looks. It's also
Lighting's different.
it's the Tarvalin hallway, but this
Yep.
is in Shadar Logoth.
It's just darker.
There's their wonderful mountains that Dain liked. Apparently, this has been used to film Rammstein Firefly music video. Yeah, that's weird. This is the mining town. It's a quarry. Again, Dane's pointing out they love quarries for some reason. It just looks like a weird place.
It,
Like, I don't understand this bridge. Where's it going?
yeah.
And they have a road on the other side that goes north and south or up and down, whatever it's north, south, east, or west, or whatever. It's already got that stuff, so I don't know what the point of that would be. This is a cliff overhang. Gorgeous scenery. I think the scenery was great
Yeah.
shot, cinematography. I just don't think they used it right.
Yeah,
Apparently,
agreed.
this location is also in Carnival Row and Britannia. They're using it in multiple places. And then this right here is the Gildanan capital, I guess. This is where they did Loghain's original stuff. And it's Segovia in Spain. Like, that could be cool. Like, it's a cool castle looking thing. Not how I pictured the Gildanan, but
No.
sure.
That looks nice, but just
we got Tarvalin. Here's the image of the mountain that they probably used, and it's that's the wonderful Blood Calls Blood episode.
yeah.
This is Ometepe Lake in Nicaragua.
Okay.
Like they just like CGI'd it into the background, which is strange. That's also looks like a lot smaller than I imagined Tarvalin to actually be. I imagined it'd be a lot bigger. Yeah, I always thought that the tower was not in the middle, but was off to the side. Like it had like a portion of the city locked off just for the tower. But this they make it like in the very middle, which is kind of strange.
I always felt like it took some time to get from the front gates to the tower. Like it was sort of, but I don't know.
Well, it was kind of off in the back corner near the water. It wasn't near one of the bridges.
Yeah.
Which it's like literally all bridges literally are the same distance apart from it, which is kind of weird. But here's the legendary comparison. Like if you look at the windows, it's the same art and style as the Shadar Logoth one. So Tarvalin and Shadar Logoth, this is the most people they've had on screen at one time in the entire first season, which is ridiculous.
Yeah,
and you can't blame COVID because all these people are right next to each other, not 6 feet apart from each other. So it's not COVID. They just didn't hire people, apparently. And notice there's not a whole lot of diversity in here, which is the place it would make sense because it's Tarvalin. It's a melting pot because all these different cultures land here. Why is it not like ethnically mixed? It should be here. Whatever. But then we have this weird little
whatever that is.
set. It's this
supposed to be
the Tinkers
setting, right?
And this is where the Tinkers get chased by the Whitecloaks and Perrin and Egwene get taken down. The wonderful look how much they CGI'd onto this bad boy.
Yeah, Jesus Christ.
Like they had literally just this little thing here and they CGI'd all that stuff on the top. But that looks like a fortress that does not look like a city. That's also a fort. So I don't understand, like, where are they putting all these people? Because that's a fortress it doesn't have living quarters to sustain an entire population. And also there's supposed to be like city farmland outside of Faldara.
Yeah, because people have to live and eat, right?
Well, and they talk about farms. There's no farms in a desert like this. This isn't like sparse grassland. This is like literally just brown sand everywhere as far as the eye can see. Like it's like one solid color when you look at this thing, which is not good for eyes. Like it's contrasting wise is horrible. But this little bottom piece is the only piece that's actually part of this actual event. That's because they can get people to walk through it. The rest of it they can't. So whatever. This reminds me honestly of the Hobbit, where Gandalf goes and finds where the Nazgul had broken out and that wall. That's what it reminds me of. It's a little
Yeah.
bit more stairs based than that one because that one was like rocks jutting out of the wall that somebody slammed in there.
Yeah,
I don't really understand this because this is supposed to be the eye of the world.
That's the end of the world. Yeah, they just have
How?
They just have a. They don't understand what the eye of the world is.
Oh, everyone's favorite murder of a child by the
Yep,
Sean
murder
Chan
her.
with a
Kill
tsunami.
her.
Because
Evil
Look at this.
child.
a budget of over 10 million per episode, right? That's 80 million for the first season, and this is the best we could get. That's just unacceptable in every
Yeah,
way.
it's yeah.
Look at this.
Especially 'cause,
The
you know,
spot for the wall of Tarwin's Gap was inspired by the awesome stepwells from Western India, except they're not Indian. Like,
they have
they're up in
drawing all
snow
these-
territory,
they don't
in
like
green, not
you see,
tropical.
and that's the biggest problem. I think you're probably. I think they just wanted to be, jet set and see the world. It's like, how about you take freaking inspiration from the books that describe the shit?
And there's lots of unique biomes to go to. It's not like you're going to get them anywhere, but
You
like
know,
I think everyone's getting tired because like the Star Wars trope of all these Star Wars series always end up on Tatooine
Yeah,
or something like
it's
that.
yeah, it's
It's
just
like
like
there's all these desert planets. Why are there so many desert planets?
Get
Why are there
some
so many desert scenes? There's
get
not
some
places where there are
foam.
deserts.
Yeah, get some foam and carve some rocks and make a freaking accurate building. No, like
Dude, do you know
come
how
on.
many foam rock sets are in the world that you could just go get theirs for probably
It-
cheaper than cutting them yourself?
Well,
And you could
yeah,
totally
it's
use
just,
them.
it's just silly. It's like it's taken. It's like I don't care where you got inspiration from it. It's wrong.
That's why I honestly think Amazon should have like bypassed Rafe to some extent and been like, hey, we're gonna hire Weta Workshop who did Lord of the Rings, and we're gonna have them make all the props
Yeah, it's
because
all wrong.
they will read the description and give accurate, like official quality stuff, and you can use this in the actual set because like this whole series is gonna be, if it's 10 million per episode, it's gonna be like $640 million.
Yeah,
That's like double the price of the Lord of the Rings trilogy.
Yeah.
Or something, somewhere up there. I don't know if
I don't.
it's
I don't
probably
know
it's
the
probably
exact
comparable.
number,
But freaking Lord of the Rings, they had over 10,000 like actually produced props of
Well,
armor, and then 10,000 of weaponry, and like good quality grade. Like you look at it, it looks realistic. It might not even be like, I don't think they made actual steel, but they might have had some iron weapons and stuff. But they made stuff look legitimate,
yeah.
even
Oh,
if
yeah.
it wasn't legitimate.
And then a
And
lot
they
of
do
this
that
stuff,
on a much smaller budget.
yeah. Well, and a lot of this stuff can be reused. So it's just like
That's the other thing, is they should have introduced all the major cities that they go through, because they're going to have them anyway if they're going to them. So
They're so
Kyrian,
busy.
Camelin, Tarvalin, Faldara to some extent, but like not
They're
too
so busy.
overkill.
They're so busy trying to find places that inspire them to make. It's like, no, just look at the book and make the place. That's it. Move on.
And don't kill children at the end of the season.
There you go.
Crying out loud.
Leave the
It
waves in the
cannot get any
water.
simpler than that. And I'm not one to flinch away from child deaths on screen, because I think it evokes emotional response. Obviously, because this
Well,
child's dead, we're supposed to hate the Sean Chen. That's the emotional response.
It's such a pointless freaking scene.
But-
It's ridiculous.
But like you could have had a demonic literally just strike her with lightning. You didn't have to use water. Like you literally used so much of the one power to kill one person.
Yeah, but that's not even what they do. They just would have captured her and moved on. They don't
Well,
go around murdering people.
But why capture her? They don't know if she can channel.
It doesn't matter.
They're out in the the very
she
distant
is-
horizon. They can't even sense her channeling, even if she could.
Well, there's no reason for them to do anything to this child.
Well, but it's also the fact, like, they used that tsunami, right? But it wasn't bigger than the rocks that is where Falma would have been on top of.
Yeah.
So the water wouldn't even hit the town. And why would you wipe out the town with the tsunami that you're going to occupy?
Yeah.
You're trying to keep the buildings intact. Like, none of it makes logical sense in
they're
any
just
shape or
trying to
form.
take over. They give people the option to submit or die. It's like they're just. It's just It just proved they have no idea what the Sean Chen are and what they're about in one stupid scene. So
they really kill it. But yeah, I'd say this is a good place as any to stop. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this wonderful look at locations, some casting, directors, and all that stuff that honestly I am not very familiar with because I don't pay attention to the behind the scenes of shows. I look more at the story and characters and whatnot. But I think it was fun. Dain brought a lot of stuff to the table that I was not going to have the answers to.
He always
And
does.
Steve, you pulled out a lot of stuff that helped clarify a lot of things. Even had your own little
Hey,
humor.
that's good. Usually I don't. I'm the stump I'm the stump in the forest.
I can only go off the books because that's what I got, and I'm still reading more and more lore stuff that adds more and more knowledge. There's just too much stuff for me to fit in my brain. I don't know how Dane does it, but
I don't know how he does it either.
I'm so busy I can't do that.
Half the time he does it half drunk too, so I don't know how he.
Oh, I don't think
all
he's
that
ever
stuff.
half drunk. I think he's
Oh,
always full drunk or
I
not.
guess fair enough.
But yeah, I want to thank you, Steve, for hanging out. And I know Dain didn't really
Yeah.
get to plug his stuff, so I guess I'll plug it for him. So you guys can check out Dain and his crew over at Whitecloaks, which I'm probably going to have their channel link or whatever in the description. And then same thing goes for Steve here and his channel. Although you could find Steve in our if you go to our page at the bottom, you can see his page link, I guess, there that you can just access whenever you want. I'm hoping to add some more people to that, but I gotta actually be able to talk to them about it.
We'll get you there,
Like,
man. White Cloaks is getting
it'll
close to
take some time.
200, so go check them
Yeah,
out.
we'll get to 65 in a couple of years, but
We'll get you there. I'm
I know.
I have hopefully some stuff brewing here soon, so hopefully we can get some.
I remember we were
on.
on. I think it was last time I was with you and Dain on your page, and somebody asked if the questioners are going to do just Wheel of Time stuff, and it's like we're definitely going to touch everything that ever comes out for Wheel of Time, but we're probably going to expand into things like the Rings of Power that's coming out in a couple months. Because I am a massive Lord of the Rings fan. Like I was a Lord of the Rings fan before I even knew Wheel of Time existed. And it's because I love Lord of the Rings so much that I got into the Wheel of Time. And
Yeah,
I love them. They're both my top two favorite artists, authors. But J.R.R. Tolkien, nobody's got a candle on that guy. I'm sorry, Robert Jordan, but nobody has a candle.
I don't have near the knowledge of I enjoy Lord of the Rings quite a bit, but I am not an expert. But I've been dipping my. You know what? Stupid is stupid, and I can see stupid. So it's one of those.
It's
I'm gonna
easy
call
to
that.
critique it when so many people are calling out that something's false.
Yeah. Now, am I gonna say I'm an expert on the lore and stuff? No. But when something's dumb,
don't need to be.
like you say, oh hey, the orc, costumes, the
female
outfit.
orcs.
Well,
The
that
female
too,
orcs
right?
specifically.
But when you have articles shilling blatantly going, oh hey, we have a first look at some orcs and they look pretty good. So hey, everything else
To be
is going
fair,
to be
the
good
orcs,
too, right?
The orcs did look good, but nothing told me
No.
that they were female or male.
No, the orcs
That's
look
the only
good.
thing that really looked good so far.
But my point is the orcs look great, fine, good. It's very hard to fuck up an orc. But what does that have to do
Really,
with all
it's easy
the
because that's what Sauron did and Morgoth did all the time.
What's it have to do with all the other costume designs and other stuff that looks ridiculous before the orcs? The orcs look fine. That doesn't make the rest look better. The rest
it's
looks
even
like garbage.
There's a clip because they just recently released news about the Numenorian army, which Numenor is where Aragorn's
50-50?
line comes from. 50-50, 50% women, 50% men. Now the thing is Tolkien actually addresses this. He actually writes down in his work that the women didn't like sailing even outside of sight of land of Numenor. They weren't sailors, they weren't adventurers, that was all men. For whatever reason, they just prefer to stay home, but they were dancers, and people would travel all over Numenor to come see these dancers. And so women had these great positions, these great things about them that made them interesting in their own right and made them characters people would want to see. But instead they're like, no, we're going to do what the men do. And I'm like, but it doesn't even make sense. And it goes completely against Tolkien's actual lore that he verbally spoke, or not, well, verbally through writing, I should say. He wrote down, he verbally wrote, I guess, he wrote down what they actually do and that the men were mariners. They loved exploration. They loved adventure. They were the warriors. The women wanted nothing to do with that. And it wasn't because the men wouldn't let the women. It's the women chose not to do that. And it's like, they can't even get little details like that, right? Because my modernity, like if women don't see women in military, they'll never see themselves in that. And it's like, I wanted to do a video on modernity. I just have to find the time or the willpower to do so.
It's just
But
one of
anyway.
those things. I'm so tired of it. I just can you let us go and fantasize about being a warrior and killing bad guys, please? That's all I want.
But
Just-
the orcs are just misunderstood, so
Yeah, well,
it's all good.
We're
Like,
gonna get
the orcs are going to be
well,
led by an elf because
yeah.
reasons.
Are we gonna see baby orcs because they're gonna have to procreate now? 'Cause
I
women
find it
decide-
funny that they're saying we need to have female orcs because we need representation. And I'm like, guys, you do realize that orcs probably raped their mates in order to breed.
Orcs
Like,
are literally
it
the
was
worst things.
they're
ever.
evil. They're
They are
evil.
evil.
So they're going to do evil things. They enjoy pain and misery in others.
They're
So if they have
evil.
female orcs, which are, I guess, implied, that means that they're being raped and brutal things are happening to them. Why would you want to be like
Why would you
related
want-
to
yeah.
that?
Why would you want to
That
be?
doesn't make any sense.
I don't
But anyway,
know.
go ahead and plug your channel real quick, and I'll let you get.
Well, Prophet of the Dragon just hit 1K. Hopefully monetized
Woohoo!
soon. Yes, woohoo! So hopefully monetized soon in that process. So yeah, thank you anybody that subbed to me. If you're not, please give it a look, and if you like what you see, give me a sub or like whatever. Hopefully, be doing some Wheel of Time type live streams here in the near future, and
Those will be fun.
hopefully a few new things maybe that I got brewing in the old noggin. Maybe if I get some time, I'll be able to get them out. But a few ideas kicking around. We'll see.
Yeah, and guys, if you haven't been over there, which probably most of you that are here probably have, definitely check out his stuff. He does some really entertaining things, from playing video games with his kids or just talking about pop culture in general and whatnot. It's always fun stuff.
Yeah, he's
one day
don't make me look bad at any video game. So
well,
it's always fun.
Kids are a lot smarter than we give them credit for, so that makes sense. But yeah, definitely check out his stuff. I would love to get together with some of the other creators that Steve works with, and once we get to do that, maybe we can pull out some more, not solely Wheel of Time related stuff. We can kind of just dig into everything from like Kenobi to all the other dumpster fire shows that are showing up. Yeah, I know, right? I need to go take a bath after even saying the names.
Kenobi. Yeah.
My own dad likes freaking Kenobi, and that drives me nuts because he likes Star Wars, but he doesn't know Star Wars, and it just drives me up a wall when he starts talking about it. So I can't even.
Well,
but yeah,
that's crazy. Yeah.
So thanks, Steve, for hanging out. I know.
Yeah,
I think Dain, but he kind of took off rather.
Well, thanks, Dain, for giving us what time you could.
Yeah,
it's always a pleasure.
Wasn't planning on it going for 2 hours, but hey, we gotta go where the wheel wills.
There you go.
Alrighty. Well, thanks, Steve, and thanks everybody for hanging out and walking the light.
Hail the Lord Dragon.